Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Xbox Nation. It is Wednesday, the 14th. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, it is Wednesday. It's a new episode, not a rerun. That's why I said the date. And this is the best damn podcast on a Wednesday. Fuck anybody else's feelings. I'm telling you, it is. So, there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. We're obviously going to talk a lot about the stuff going on today. Yes, Mooch is going to join us later. He requested to join us later, so he had something he had to do, but then he's going to be in later because we're going to talk about this whole. Late. Yeah, we were going to talk about. Well, he's not really technically part of this podcast anymore, but he messaged me and he's like, "Man, can I come on? I want to talk about this parody stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, man." He goes, "But I'm not going to be there till about 8:40 or so." So I was like, "All right." I was like, "We'll hold off on talking about that stuff till then, because we can still talk about the E3 stuff and like some of the games and stuff, like the more positive stuff, because there was a lot of really good games shown off at E3, and I wanted to make sure to give those games some props as well, because after all, we're all gamers here, and gamers win." Yeah. Right?
Gamers
win. Yeah, gamers win. First off, let me do some introductions. GKB, the governor. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I went 20 rounds with Mooch today on Twitter. It was fantastic. Anytime I get to do that, I'm fucking exhausted for the show. I don't even feel like talking anymore.
I know.
My fingers are bleeding and everything else. I do want to say one thing. Like, big shout out to Mooch, man. He's always fantastic. Yeah, I think he brings out the best in a lot of us, like when we're out there on Twitter. But the conversation that was started and got going, man, it was absolutely fantastic. Everybody was super cool about it. There was like a couple of things that was like a little bit of misunderstanding where I think people thought like I thought the Scorpio couldn't do like the performance that I thought it was, and that's completely not true. I think the Scorpio is more than capable of doing what it is, and I think my thing was going more towards like the game developers just weren't doing.
Yeah, and to be clear, I wanted to kind of back up you a little bit in a way, and we'll talk about this later. That don't advertise it like that unless you're sure. You know what I mean? Like 100% sure. Like I wanted to go ahead and say that I agree with you on that, but I also think that the developers are very much at fault for a lot of what's going on. But we'll get into this a little bit later. She-Wolf, you changed up your Twitter name. I had trouble finding you. I was like, what the hell?
That's great.
What's up? You're Zombie Wolf now, apparently, or something like that. So
it's just She-Wolf # Zombie Wolf.
Okay, hashtagging it.
Awesome. I was playing around. Jesus. Is it a crime to change your name now?
Yeah, it's all good. How are you doing?
I don't know. Like, I stayed off of Twitter today because of like all the craziness that was going on. I was like, yeah, hardware. I'm not in it. Thanks. Bye.
But you're doing good.
Yeah, other than that, I'm alive. It's been a really busy week, so it's been pretty crazy with everything, but a lot of great shows, a lot of great games I got to see, a lot of no release dates, but hey, it's all good too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? Okay, there you go. I was about to tweet this out to come join us live, and I had trouble finding you again. But okay, well, it's good that you're here. We're gonna have a good time.
Do I need to change my name back just so you can find me?
It's all good. I just have to type more, and usually when I type in like SH, it goes right to you. But no,
that's all it should be though, because it's still technically She-Wolf first.
I don't know what to tell you. But we also have the one and only Trollhammer here. What's up?
Oh man, I don't even hardly troll. What are you talking about?
Me and him got into like almost a legit, I thought, argument, and I was like, dude, whatever. And then finally,
and then you remembered who you were talking to.
Yeah, no, because he was all going in on the Xbox and frame rates, and I told him, I was like, don't fucking buy it then. I said, don't let me catch your ass buying that shit. And he's like, I won't. And I was like, no, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna buy it.
Well, yeah, of course I am. I mean, it's still at the end of the day, it's gonna be. I prefer consoles, and it's gonna be the most powerful console. So I just hope that it's taken advantage of completely.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, and we also have got Dealer Gaming. What's up, Dealer?
Not much, brother. Pretty exciting times. A lot of needless controversy. People making fun of something that's doing native 4K, maybe with some scaling, not really thinking to themselves, well, shit, if it's doing a little bit of scaling, what's the pro going to do? So we got a lot of good conversations coming up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we do. Like closer to the 9 o'clock hours is going to be pretty good discussions and things like that, just to be clear. And we also have Noof Nukem. Thank you for joining us, man.
Yo, it's always good to be here. Crapfuck, I'm still stoked and rolling, man. You know, it was E3, baby. You know, at the end of the day, every gamer wins. It's good shit. I'm excited still. And yeah, this should be a good show. A few things to dive into. Lots of speculation, lots of misinformation, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's get ready to roll it, man.
I'm the king of misinformation. Let's do it. Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I mean, we can jump into some E3 stuff, but I wanted to jump into some Jim Ryan comments first, because I think that this is pretty interesting stuff, and I did a video on it. This guy is quickly turning into the Don Matrick of PlayStation. He says, no crossplay on Minecraft, none on Rocket League. Apparently, they've turned this down on DC Universe Online as well, and some other games. And his reason was pretty lame, that he was worried about like kid safety and things like that. But the ironic twist of this is
kid safety.
Yeah, kid safety.
But Nintendo's going to sit here and do network play on Rocket League. Like, what the fuck?
Yes, Nintendo's doing Rocket League network play with Xbox and PC and phone, and same thing with Minecraft. But Sony is like, no, we can't do that. Because we have, because of kid safety. We have that's what he said. I mean, this guy. I mean,
is that the excuse he gave for the mic sound like shit too, so they couldn't hear cuss words? Kid safety. That's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I think we can all agree, no matter what side of the aisle you're from, it's obvious. Jim Ryan, he doesn't want it to become something that becomes something normal and then becomes expected, and then before you know it, what's the point? You know, you went to PS4 maybe because maybe some of your friends went, and that's probably why he doesn't want cross-play, because if you can play on your Xbox and be in the ecosystem you prefer and still play with your friends, that means you don't play your PlayStation as much, you know?
Yeah. You know what I don't get, though? It's like we're so far into this gen. People that have PlayStations have them. People that have Xbox have them. A lot of people have both, you know, but some people, maybe if you're a kid or something, only get one. And maybe they want to play with their friend, but they, you know, their friend has a PlayStation or an Xbox. And I think it'd be good to be able to play against each other. You know, it would keep games alive. I like the idea in terms of, especially consoles. Like, isn't that the dream? Being able to play against people, it helps populate these games. It keeps them alive a lot longer. I would think that would be an admirable goal.
And maybe on the leaderboards, they have a PlayStation logo or an Xbox logo, and you can kind of compete and see which community, you know, put into work.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Go ahead, Noof.
And you get to play against people on a Nintendo Switch. That's pretty freaking cool. Nintendo people, get that. Nintendo. I mean, that says a lot for it right there. I mean, the only thing I feel bad about is all those poor suckers having a Switch. They're going to have to hook up like about 40 contraptions to do any voice kind of chat. But, you know, outside of that stuff, you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be...
Carry that one on the bus, why don't you?
It's going to be hard to lure people anywhere or do anything bad when, like, the Nintendo people have to, like, roll through, like, 10 different things. I think 0% of people are going to actually use the voice chat on Nintendo. Yeah. Like, if I were to ever use that, say, hey GKB, let's roll up and play some Splatoon. You know what we're doing? I'm like, GKB, let's go on Xbox party.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to hook up a bunch of bullshit, you know? Like,
I got my headset, my cell phone, my Switch.
Just fucking adapter that plugs into 3 different things. And
I mean, I don't really see myself using that stuff. I would just use Xbox Live. To me, that makes a lot more sense. In fact, back in the day when I used to dabble in a little bit of PC stuff, I used to do the hell game that I used to play online. It was Lord of the Rings online. We used to use Xbox Live while we were playing that on PC. So so that kind of goes explained. But does anybody else have a thought about this? Like, this guy Jim Ryan, just complete ass bucket, in my opinion.
Whatever an ass bucket is, I think he's a bucket full ass.
Yeah, man, it's bad. Like, this guy just won't shut up. He's the same guy who said that nobody wants backwards compatibility. These games look horrible. Nobody wants it, you know. And I just,
you know what? I wouldn't even give him shit if he said that and they weren't selling you PS Now for $60 a month. You know, and charging $15 for San Andreas on PS4 online. You know, that kind of hypocrite type shit is just not tolerable. So yeah, he's a bag of assholes. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. He's a full-on ass bucket. Not only that, but then their big, I guess, surprise is a remake of a remastered game, which is Shadow of the Colossus. I know GKB, you like the game, and that's fine. But it's like, I think the option to be able to play the backwards compatible version, because I like to buy the newer versions too, but a lot of people don't. You know, they just don't they just want to play. They'd be fine with playing the backwards compatible version.
That's why they bought the games once, and maybe they don't want to buy it again.
Yeah. I like the new versions because you get separate achievements or trophies. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's shit that they don't have some kind of backwards compatibility. At least, I mean, you know how easy it would be for Sony to throw in PS1 and PS2 at the very least.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
There's 10 different emulators for that stuff on PC, and you can basically run it on anything now that you buy like $100 computer will run it.
But then
No
they
problem.
can sell it to you, you know. So.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, I'd love to
that's
go
the
back
issue.
and play some of those games, but I'm not
Chihuahua,
gonna
do you have
go.
any thoughts on like this whole like bullshit excuse as to why they don't allow crossplay?
Honestly, I think I don't know, it's like the dumbest thing ever, because first off, Nintendo is one of the biggest franchises that deal with younger viewers and younger generations, so I don't understand how Sony is trying to protect the kids or whatever, especially for the fact that, I'm sorry to say, how many times has your account's been hacked?
Good point.
Like, I'm sorry to say, but accounts have been hacked quite a bit. So how are you protecting the kids? Like, their information is leaking. So, and like crossplay, honestly, like, again, you still don't know who you're playing against. You could be playing against anybody. So whether you're on a multiplayer game or whether you're doing crossplay, it's all the exact same thing. The only thing crossplay is doing is allowing a wider range of gamers to be able to actually participate in it.
So, Crap, did he give like specifics on how the children would be connected or kind of protected and coveted so much? I mean, how did he give any kind of specifics on how that would be the case?
Not really.
Broad statements, bro. He's just like, we're just protecting the kids.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Children.
Yeah.
Okay, George Bush, let's go.
Yeah, it was just like a really kind of broad statement. Let's see. Microsoft works cross-platform between Switch, Xbox, and PC. Rocket League announced that it's going to be doing that. Jim Ryan said it's certainly not a profound philosophical stance we have against this. We've done it in the past. We're always open to the conversation with any development or publisher who wants to talk about it. Unfortunately, it's a commercial decision between ourselves and other stakeholders. And I'm not going to go into the details of that at this particular instance. And I can see your eyes rolling. That's what he said.
He doesn't have any details.
Yeah, his details are, hey, we really, really, we really don't want to lose out on potential sales. But like I said, like, is Microsoft losing out on sales because they're doing this? I don't think so. If anything, this is opening up
sales.
Yeah,
you've seen games go back compatible. It's like 1,000% in fucking sales. The servers shoot up. Like, there's more benefits than there is any fucking negatives. This guy's
more than anything too is just the goodwill it generates. You do pro consumer moves like that, people give a fuck. So.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, this is something that's really, really cool. And again, like, Rocket League makes a lot of sense on the Switch because it's portable or whatever. Like, and I just think that it's an incredible idea, and the fact that they're able to do it. And again, Sony just opted out. It kind of exposes them as what they are. They've been really kind of anti-consumer this whole generation, and this is just another instance of that, right? Like, you want some more ideas about the anti-consumerism that Sony has. They were going to do the exact same stuff that Microsoft was going to do with DRM. They backed out last minute. They tried to trademark Let's Play multiple times to prevent YouTubers from using that or monetize that for themselves. They said no to EA Access because it, quote, didn't represent good value to their consumers. They've turned down multiple games for cross-network play. And I keep hearing a little bit of an echo. Hello? Echo. I don't know who that is. Okay, well, anyway.
I hear the echo. Maybe it's
you don't hear it? I don't know.
Does anybody else hear it?
I heard something.
I heard something. It was like I could hear myself again, but it sounded like maybe it was coming through a speaker or something. But anyway, yeah. So they've done this. They said no backwards compatibility, and then they also tend to like mock backwards compatibility, which is already kind of asinine in my opinion as well, because there's nothing wrong with options. Again, all this stuff is just all about options in my opinion, and they've done a really piss poor job at kind of achieving options. As we had of the over 700 people watching, please hit that like button. I would appreciate it. It means a lot that you guys come out to check out what we're talking about and things like that. I want to talk a little bit about E3. Was there any games that you guys kind of walked away with just thinking, wow, that's amazing? Like
Anthem.
Anthem.
I love that game. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited. I still want to know a little bit more though, because even though they say like it's a Destiny type feel game, I'm still curious, like, if you're actually going to see other people in the world, or is this kind of more like,
They
I don't-
expanded on it today, like in the Xbox Daily, and it's kind of like a bounce in and out kind of RPG. I don't know if it's like full on Destiny or anything like that. It just sounds like your typical RPG where people could just come in and help you out and do all kinds of stuff.
Somebody in the
I
chat.
That was fun anyway.
So then I was right then. This is pretty much like they took Scalebound and just turned it into like a whole, because that's what Scalebound was able to do. When you went into like dungeons and all this other thing, you could have people jump in and out with you with their dragons and all that kind of stuff. But in the most aspect of it, you were still kind of running around by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it has pretty cool drop-in, drop-out co-op. That's pretty common. I mean, most notably the visuals at the beginning of the title, right? You could count the pores on that guy's face. It looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
Probably the best looking game I've ever seen in my life. And then you add in the mech suits and the particles from the explosions. Yeah, it looks next level. I don't think we'll see it. Maybe not even next year. Who knows? But it looks good, man.
They say it's coming out next year.
Well, they said that a lot for a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah, I'm just saying they're supposedly saying it's going to release. You know, what's really cool. What I noticed in some of those, like you can see the texture on the clothes, which is really cool. Like I don't know if you guys noticed. It was
Wait until you're playing in real time, uncompressed. I mean, it's going to look fucking phenomenal.
I don't know, man. Game is like a year away, and there's still no, and there was fucking no googly eyes to be seen in that demo.
Well, dude, that's what happens when you have your A team and not your like cheerleading team making a game. You know, like Hellhammer had a hell of a glitch. I was telling people about it the other day.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that was botting.
Your mic is kind of botting. You might have to back out and or rejoin or something. Unplug your mic, plug it back in, and then leave and come back in or something.
Who?
Hellhammer.
Bothammer.
Oh.
Yeah, Bothammer.
The hammer.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, that game again, that really impressed the hell out of me as well. I thought that it was really cool, and they've confirmed that that's going to be a native 4K game. I saw somebody say 60 FPS.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know what's
We'll
interesting
see.
about why? Again, I heard somebody say that. I'm not saying that that's confirmed, but I was watching some things, and the same thing with that Metro game.
Metro was phenomenal too, man.
Yeah, I saw them interview the developer on the Xbox Daily Show, and he said it's going to be full on 4K, like full real 4K on the Scorpio or the One X.
Now you're botting.
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
Thank you. Yeah,
Are you uploading a video right now, Crap?
For real?
No,
Hellhammer downloaded something?
He said no.
Final Fantasy fishing VR demo.
I will say, yeah, Anthem looks great in the way that's hitting 4K 60. But, you know, the game looks phenomenal. Metro Exodus looks phenomenal as well. Those two games look so good. Exodus was confirmed to be running on a Scorpio spec PC, which came out after the first day. But they did say that is pretty much what the Scorpio version is going to look like. It was a spec PC, and
They said
Pretty
it
much
about
from-
Exodus? Or
Yeah,
they said it about
Exodus.
Metro too, and I didn't know they said that about Exodus too.
Exodus is Metro Exodus.
Oh, okay, I thought you were saying
Anthem, they didn't say that.
okay.
Anthem was running on the kit, apparently.
thought you
So
said-
Is my
Exodus
mic
was
okay
a
now?
Scorpio. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
Exodus
sounds
is a
better now.
Scorpio spec PC, but like I said, the developers did comment on that. That's exactly what you should get on the Scorpio version, according to them. And with that much power, you should be able to get that. But yeah, looks good.
Yeah, you know what? I like
Exodus
the look
is
of
probably-
Metro. Yeah, I was just gonna say I like the look of Metro. I think that and they were interviewing the guy, and he said that it's going to be true 4K on the Xbox One X, and that they're able to scale the FPS. So while he didn't say 60 FPS for sure, he said that they were going to target that. So
Well,
I think
you
that
know
that's
me,
something
bro.
to,
Like as we've said before, I don't give a fuck about resolution. Like if that game played at 1440p, I don't care. 1440 looks clean enough with
Yeah.
ultra settings. That's what I would prefer every time. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
nice.
I could care less about 4K. I've said that a million times.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
We'll get into Assassin's Creed later, but that's the thing I said about Microsoft. If it's checkerboard or whatever, do not advertise it as native 4K.
Exactly.
You know, so
Yeah.
we'll have to see what route they go there in
Yeah.
their commercials.
Yeah. As far as what Microsoft is doing, the best news that I heard was the developer from Ark Survival Evolved when he was doing that Jeff Keighley interview, which was hilarious, right? I don't know if you guys watched that, but Jeff Keighley was just like he looked so livid.
What about the PlayStation?
Yeah, what about the
Just kept
Pro?
going on.
Yeah, what about the Pro? I mean, what's this thing running on the Pro? Like, there's not that much of a difference, right? You know what I mean? And the developer's just looking at him like,
I did a video on this as well, and yeah, he said, "What about the Pro?" And he said, "Well, before the X, the Pro was the best console version, but blah blah blah." And Keeley said, "Well, compare them basically." And he said, "Are they going to be the same frame rate, the same visuals, all that stuff?" And the developer said, "Well, it's not possible. Scorpio has so much more RAM, and it's running PC Epic settings compared to medium settings and stuff on the Pro." I uploaded an actual interview to the channel, which a lot of people liked. It's crazy, bro, and that's the kind of stuff you can expect.
Yeah, and see that was what I was talking about, because he's like, we're gonna do 1080 60 on the One X, and he's like, well, what about the Pro? And he's like, well, 1080 30. You know what I mean? He's like, but then they actually went on and kind of elaborated even more today that they're gonna have some options on that game, like a 4K 30, or it could actually be higher than 1080 60 on the One X, depending on what they want to do. So
and that 1080 30 on the Pro is with medium settings. So
yeah, exactly. So you could tell that everybody is really thrilled with the One X, and again, like, I thought that was one of the better interesting things. Like, I know some people are down on it or whatever, but developer feedback for this thing has been insane. Like, everybody's really happy with it and pumped up about it. I think that it's really been kind of fantastic. Dealer, I didn't do I don't know if you did a Sony conferencing. What did you think of Sony's conference?
I think that they handed it over. With Microsoft's conference, I thought, like I said before, it was a B- to me, because I'm a tech guy and they delivered on the power. It's obvious. I know what it takes to run those games, and the games look phenomenal, and I'm happy with that. So it was a B- because of some of the stuff in the middle, but even that stuff looked good. You got to understand, I don't just hand out A's, right? Just like a professor, you don't just hand out A's because something was good.
Yeah,
a B is good. So yeah, a B is good. So I thought it was good. I just wish there, obviously, like we called on Xbox Nation months ago, there's going to be kind of a lull for the next year or two while they reinvest, and I expected that. So maybe that's why it was a B-. But we are getting Crackdown of Forza this year, and at least something. With Sony, you're getting DLC. And when I realized that they literally didn't show any new games that were exclusive that were coming out this year, that's when they lost it. But if not for Spider-Man and God of War, which look awesome, which look epic, right? That would have been one of their worst conferences of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, the fact that those games are coming out not this year as well, and even though they showed them again last year,
absolutely recycled. And if they wouldn't have wasted some good stuff at PSX, if The Last of Us were there, boom, that would have, what I'm saying? They could have easily gotten much better reception, because even the media is turning on them at this point about this recycled bullshit that's still not coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, they were also missing, like, Gran Turismo Sport wasn't on stage. I mean, they showed it in the pregame.
I don't blame them there. I
don't blame them either, because Forza are going to destroy the shit out of it. But they also didn't show Battlefront 2. Like, you're paying all this money for fucking these marketing rights, and you're not even showing it on the stage. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
You barely showed Destiny. You barely showed Call of Duty. You didn't show Battlefront. You didn't show any Far Cry gameplay. You didn't even have a little sneak peek at Red Dead 2. Like, this is what I expected. And that's probably why I just think they lost pretty hands down.
The other point to that too, Dealer, is like, we heard like Sony over the years being like, this is the best place for developers, indies this, indies that. Not fucking one indie was on the stage. Not one at all. Like, so what the hell's going on there? And big shout out to Mooch, man, because he fucking called it like verbatim that it was going to be a fucking rehash of last year. And I give him all the credit in the world. I was wrong on that one. Mooch was absolutely right.
Yeah,
I said,
did not use those marketing deals.
I said to GKB, look, I'll be somewhat happy if at least one of these three games makes it into the 2017 lineup. I said Days Gone, Spider-Man, or God of War. And of those three games, I was thinking God of War might, simply because of the advertising that's been running in various places. But apparently, nope, they're still 2018. So there you go. They missed the mark there. And like you said, they didn't show so many of the big titles that a lot of people were expecting. Despite Battlefront, most importantly, like, because we kind of figured that Last of Us is probably still a ways out, but to not show off Star Wars Battlefront up there, that was a real big shocker.
At least some single player footage or something.
You know what? I wanna talk about something that's purely speculation on my part. Don't have anything to back this up, but the games that Sony showed, the third party ones, were games that that Sony had marketing deals with, or that they haven't announced Xbox One X enhanced games for. So, Sony has marketing deal with the PS4 for Call of Duty and for Destiny. So you're getting content first there, and like early content. So they showed those things. Because even if the Xbox One X version looks better, a lot of people will still want to get the content or the map packs first. Again, that Monster Hunter game is multi-plat, but there's nothing so far. There's no clue or any announcement of that getting a Xbox One X enhancement. Marvel vs. Capcom just looked trash all the way around. Again, not sure what the deal's with that.
Those character models look terrible, dude.
Yeah, that's a very safe game. Now you look at the other games that Sony had marketing deals with, but chose not to show off, including Far Cry 5, including FIFA, including Battlefront 2, including NBA 2K18. And they chose not to show these games off despite having marketing rights. In my opinion, that's fear, because they didn't want people to post comparison videos or Digital Foundry to run their tests on these, because that's what Digital Foundry does.
Yep, they do.
You know, and they didn't want it. That's strictly my opinion, by the way, is that they were very fearful of that and careful of that. And I think that my opinion holds up to what they showed. They have a lot more games in that in terms of marketing rights, and they failed to show them. And it completely baffles my mind why they didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, they just handed it over. Like I said, they just
yeah.
You could have a point there, but at the same time, Digital Foundry is still going to compare them when the games come out. So.
Exactly.
They will. They're just trying to buy as much time as they can. You know what I mean? Just in my opinion. Just in my opinion. And that crowd, yes, somebody just pointed that out in the chat. They didn't clap for anything. They were on.
They were like asleep.
They were totally asleep. I was watching it weird.
That whole show was a sleeping pill, pretty much. I mean, aside from a few set games, right? Like the only game that I was looking forward to in the whole thing was the Spider-Man game, right? I was like, maybe that.
And that didn't disappoint. That was good.
Yeah, I was like, maybe if this releases this year, I'll actually have a second game to buy on PlayStation. But nope, the only games I'm buying are old PlayStation games remastered now.
Hellhammer. Hey, you know what? So this is the thing. Me and Hellhammer, you know, I gave him my old PS4, right? So and I've been buying digital games on there, so he has them. So what's he do? He buys the Crash thing physically, the Crash games, right? So I don't even get them. You know what I mean? I was like, that's a dick.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He's like, I like the box art.
Yeah. Plus you get that.
Sony got a couple of games that are actually coming out here real soon, and they didn't even make an appearance. Like they've got the Crash Bandicoot game. You know, they also have that one, Everyone's Golf, which is a fairly successful golf title when it was under the Hot Shots moniker. So like they'd rather show off a lot of those games, like I said, that are fucking a ways out than stuff that's just about near and dear, you know, that's ready to roll. That's kind of crazy. And by the way, Dealer, did you notice the Polyphony development team hanging from the ceiling during the show?
No, I Sony hid them as best as possible after they saw Forza. So
yeah,
I was really blown away because that's the first E3 where they've actually hidden Gran Turismo from the main stage. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah. And you know what, you guys, like, I know you guys might not realize this, but there was also that rumor that back in 2014, Microsoft showed off Forza Horizon 2 that year, and they introduced like 500-person clubs or whatever. And remember how social Drive Club was supposed to be, and they were going to do a Drive Club.
Yeah, it was 1,000-person clubs. Yeah,
1,000-person clubs, and Drive Club had what, like 12-person clubs or something.
I think it was 6. I think it was 6.
It was like supposed to be this big social racer, and so after they saw what Forza Horizon 2 was doing, they couldn't even say, "Hey, we got more Ps," because Forza Horizon 2 was the full 1080p. Because the guy even goes out there, glorious 1080p. Remember when that was a thing? So it's like, I did I mention I hate resolution? Like that's the bane of my. I just want to play. Like these games look so great, and I want to get Assassin's Creed so bad and all these other games because they look so good. But I just want developers to be fair to Xbox. You know what I mean? If you didn't have a problem giving PlayStation 4 a higher resolution,
yeah, but at the end of the day, man, if resolution doesn't matter to you, get those games and have fun, man. And it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day.
But if I'm paying for something, like if I'm paying an extra $100 for a console, I want them to take advantage of it because I already have a Pro, and that's pretty lackluster in my opinion. But I will be fair. Everything that I've heard from people actually that have played the Xbox One X at E3. Have like said it's like a whole nother level. So
that Pro isn't too lackluster to you.
With
that VR one.
You're botting, Hellhammer.
Hammer. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell the deal is with that, man. Like,
crabs.
I don't know what the hell that was all about, but yeah. So anyway, I also wanted to talk about something that I don't think I got your guys' opinions on, which was the thoughts of Jeff Keighley leaking the Xbox One X price before E3. And apparently this is some kind of inner thing. Somebody from Microsoft actually facilitated this, and there was some grumbling.
It was strategic. Is what it was.
Yeah, you think so? What's your thoughts on it?
Because some people expect it to be $399. I remember you liked it. You thought it would be $399 for sure, right?
Sure, man. I was like, that's the only number I heard until that crossfire that Friday, and I said like right then, I said I just got like 4 messages. You know what I mean? And then I got more. Afterwards.
I remember that, yeah. And I said it would be $450 up or down $50. I wouldn't be surprised. The $399 would be a more aggressive strategy where they might lose a little on the front, pick it up on software on the back, and $499 would be the same shit. Hey, make profit off of it, whatever. Turned out to be $499 as Jeff revealed, but I think it was strategic. I think they kind of got to the hardcore base that thought it would be $399, and you know, it kind of it made it to where those people wouldn't be let down when it was revealed at $499. You know, but nonetheless, it wasn't worth petitioning for. That's some dumb shit. You know, petitioning about that kind of stuff is just it don't get nothing solved, and it's childish. So
wait, petitioning? I didn't see any petitioning.
People were petitioning to have Microsoft take action against Jeff Keighley.
Oh
so
my God.
It's kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. $499 is a good value for that power.
Yeah, you know what? I agree 100%. I don't think $499 is too much to ask for what you're getting in return. You know,
I mean, it's all about the consumer, though. At the end of the day, if you think there's value at $499, absolutely. If you don't, then don't get it. Like, it's all a subjective for that person. Like,
yeah, and that's why Phil said it's for those that know what a teraflop is and want to, hire all this shit. It's for the people that care.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that I care about really at that point, cause all this other stuff isn't a big deal. I hope that more develops for the frame rate, higher frame rate, slower resolution, that sort of thing. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah, and we'll have to get into that here in a little bit because that's looking interesting. And as I've always said, I'm going to shit all over them if there's not more options. So you can't do it now. The thing's not even out for 6 months. But I am going to talk about soon in the video what's going on and what Phil has said and all this stuff. And it's just
he's given lots of interviews. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to kind of like take in because he's doing interviews for a lot of different
Phil is horrible at just wording stuff, premium console, like he should have never said that, hardcore console, like he just doesn't word shit great. But I'm going to read a few interviews and see what's going on.
Yeah I mean, it's kind of interesting with a lot of what he's saying, and this doesn't really pertain to the Assassin's Creed thing, I don't think. But what about this whole the big rumors about Destiny 2? I don't know if you guys saw this. Somebody actually sent me this, and I don't watch GameSpot stuff, but they interviewed Phil, and they were talking to him about the whole hey, what's up? We got a Paisan in here. What's up, Mooch? How you doing? He's probably like fixing his mic or something. I don't know. But but the whole Destiny 2 thing, there's a rumor that the marketing deal has something to do with that because it's been, I guess, proven that they could probably at least get 1080 60 on that game on the Xbox One X. And they're still choosing not to do that.
Didn't Jim Ryan come out and say something kind of to that effect? And he's like, well, if you think like our marketing deals and this, that, and the other was like pretty much like poking and being like, well, we're going to control the narrative on these games kind of thing. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
What he said is he doesn't think they'll take advantage of the X1X because of lesser common denominators like the PS4 Pro. And people are damage control and say, well, the Xbox One's a less common denominator. No, that's not. Read his interview. That's not what he was saying. He's basically saying we got the install base and stuff.
Yeah, but isn't it possible though that they could actually like put a patch and that'll upscale it, or eventually add it? For the fact that the marketing rights for Sony is actually supposed to be up within, I believe, a year or two. So like soon enough, Sony won't even have the contract to Destiny unless they re-sign it, obviously. But then wouldn't that give the option of Destiny actually taking full advantage of whatever they want to?
I guess if Phil went after it, and got it. But I mean, I would say Sony's probably going to go after it again.
Yeah. Well, maybe. What's up, Mooch? Is your mic working?
Yeah, I should be. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. You're good.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Mooch! What's going on?
I told him I was like, I wasn't even going to ask Mooch to join tonight because he's been doing so many podcasts. But then Mooch messaged me. He's like, "Can I get in on this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta get in there and wave the American flag a little bit and calm everybody down.
Hey, you know what, Mooch?
Where are you guys? I kind of
we're talking about the Destiny 2 stuff. We haven't jumped into the Assassin's Creed stuff yet, but I wanted to read Jim Ryan's thing because this is what Jim Ryan said about people asking about publishing deals holding back the Xbox One. He said, "I think you're trying to see some sort of nefarious platform holder activity here where likely none exists." Right? Yeah. So, and then he also refers to the PS3. He's like, "We had the most powerful platform and it didn't really work out for us and all this stuff." But what he fails to mention to the average consumer is the PS3 was a pain in the ass to develop for and the One X isn't.
Right.
You know? So basically what he's saying is, and the word likely kind of bothers me in this instance because he's saying likely isn't, but we know that maybe with a game such as Destiny that there likely could be something like that involved because obviously
I think with Destiny there is something possibly there, but I want to address what he said and just kind of say bullshit. And not that I have to say that because apparently, Jim Ryan's he's the new who gives a shit guy that they just send out there to take the bullets for Sony. What he said was basically they're going to always fall to the last common denominator. And, listen, and this will tie into what the main subject is tonight. But why he's wrong, okay, is because we had Battlefield, okay, what was it, Battlefield 4. We've had Battlefront, okay, why is it the PS4 got 900p and it was 720p on the Xbox, right? If we're not going to make two versions and we're not going to put in that little extra work, we know for a fact that Microsoft made it so that with the SDKs that are coming out for Xbox One X, these people are able to turn stuff around in days. So you can't sit there as a developer anymore and be like, but it's just so much more work and money. No, it's days. If you can't afford days in your budget,
hours, bro,
hours, exactly. So my point is this: they've been doing this nonsense. The developers, okay, have been doing this garbage for the past 3 years, where Microsoft on multiple titles has gotten 720p or 900p versus the 900p or 1080p that Sony was getting. So don't sit there and tell me, Ryan, or any of these other vice presidents or the developers come out and tell me that they can't put in the extra work that Microsoft's done with the Windows 10 UWP and not get this thing up to a native 4K. Okay,
I just got referred to as Flava Flav. Somebody goes, Mooch and Crap are like Public Enemy. Apparently Mooch is Chucky and I'm Flavor Flav.
Mooch has a great point though with everything you just said, and
I agree. Sorry, I just wanted
to it's spot on because we've seen it time and time again, and not only is Mooch 100% right because we've seen it over and over again, developers are already saying the opposite. We just referenced the Arc creator, the guy that's developing Arc, said it's going to be epic settings at 60 FPS on Xbox One X and 30 FPS 1080p at medium settings on the Pro. And then we've got games like Assassin's Creed Origins, where the guy just confirmed today that Xbox One X will have more graphical features, a better draw distance. It will be the best version. This is stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to point out that one of the things that Mooch was talking about was the Path of Exile developer got the Xbox. 2 hours. He had it native 4K 60 FPS on the Xbox One.
And me and GKB, anybody who follows me and GKB got. I hope you
didn't have any work. 20 rounds,
hey, GKB, we provided enough entertainment today for people that didn't have to work across America, or the gaming audience, anyways. But GKB, it was a great debate, and I'll tell you right now. Here's the thing. Me and GKB were going back and forth, and he was saying things about the Assassin's Creed developer, which we'll get into. But here's the other thing. Diablo 3, okay, one of my first claim to fame on Twitter was lazy devs. Those sons of bitches didn't get 1080p on the Xbox One till almost 2.5, 3 weeks before that son of a bitch went gold and went out, okay? So my whole point is this. I don't want to hear anybody say with 5 months, and let's be honest, it's the only game that was shown on Microsoft stage that said alpha, almost bigger than it said Xbox in the corner. Okay, it's an alpha gameplay. They're at the alpha level. There's no, and Digital Foundry, and GKB made a great point. He's like, Mooch, you can't just go and say you like what Digital Foundry did on Tuesday and not what they did on Thursday. He makes a point, but Digital Foundry is literally I don't want to use the word it's called. They're just they fish for stories. Okay, now anyone who doesn't know what fishing for a story is, let me just fill you in real quick. This is what the quote unquote journalists do these days. It's when they have something very small to run on, and they go out and they keep fishing and fishing and fishing until they get some sort of a bite. And when they get that bite, they reel it in and make a headline. This is something, okay, that they knew would strike up controversy. And even though we're talking about it, we need to let everybody know, stop believing what you're reading in headlines, okay? They took an alpha build, they put it underneath a nanoscope, okay? And now they're telling us that's what's going to be in 5 months. And I know that we have stuff coming in from Jez, but listen, there's a lot of devs on the floor at E3, okay? Some of them are just devs by association, okay?
Yeah.
That means they sit about 6, and we all know that, right? Anybody that works in a business or an office.
That's like Hellhammer saying he's a part of Xbox Nation podcast, right?
That's
Just by association.
that's like Hellhammer saying he's a major YouTube star because he's your brother, right? Like shout out to Hellhammer. Honestly, this show wouldn't be the same without him. Hellhammer's awesome. But what I'm saying is this: like literally, there's people who are there and they're like, "No, man, we're making it the same." This guy doesn't know. He came along to share AC buttons. He's handing out Assassin's Creed buttons on the floor. Okay, we don't know who these people are. There's just people walking around. Okay, at one time when you go walk around in your local pharmacy, that's usually in like a CVS or a Rite Aid or a Walgreens. Some of the guys in the white coat that are just assisting the pharmacist, sometimes they have to go fill in the aisles. And if you see them with a white coat in an aisle, you're thinking it's a pharmacist. And you're like, do you think I should take Dimetap or this? They don't know what they're talking about. This is an association thing.
It's not that they're not developers, Mooch. I think that, like, when I heard about this Assassin's Creed Origins thing, oh my God, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I went and watched the video myself, and I'm like, what? He didn't say a goddamn thing that was bad about the game. He said that it would scale down. He said that it would most likely use some kind of checkerboarding, right?
That is true.
But people don't understand how hard Assassin's Creed is to run on the PC, and that's no joke. Even games like Far Cry 4, you need 60 flops to do 1440p Ultra 30 sometimes.
That kills your PC.
I'm just saying, Ubisoft games are pretty damn hard to run on PC. Everyone knows this, whether that's via less optimization or otherwise. It's just a fact. So when it comes to Origins, confirmed to scale as high as a native 4K or whatever he said today, right? Apparently uses checkerboarding and native buffers. I'm not sure how that works. But if it's running at 4K 30, or even 1800p, which is 25% of 4K 30, at higher settings than the Pro. I mean, hell, Syndicate, which was obviously less demanding based off just looking at the game, only ran at, 1440 on the Pro?
Yeah.
So, what do you think the Pro is going to run at? They've already confirmed better settings.
Thank you.
It's the best version today on Microsoft Stadia.
Outstanding point by Dealer, and that's what I wanted to say here too. We've been in this generation, and in GKB, this is a question for you, and I want to get your opinion on it. Is this entire generation thus far? Okay, well, let's use Battlefront, 900p, 720p. The Sony fans were still content with the fact that they were just above us. What Phil said was we are the most powerful console. And they did say on Digital Foundry that even if it's not hitting 4K, what the Xbox One X is doing is still visually stunning. And we all know how much more powerful now the X is than the Pro. Not me, not fanboys, not this panel. This is devs now saying it, talking to Jeff Keighley, and Jeff Keighley's shrinking an inch after each fucking interview with these people. Yeah. And we know that. So here's what I'm saying. Let's say, just devil's advocate, we're not going to hit native 4K on Assassin's Creed. We're not. Let me tell you this much. Whatever we are, the Pro will not match it. And that's my comment. If I'm somebody on the floor and I'm talking to the Assassin's Creed dev, we will still be the better console version. And that's as good as it gets.
You're right. For one second, I was just going to say that they interviewed an actual dev from like a real dev on the Xbox Daily Show today. And he did say that the Xbox One X version had the best draw distance, the more high graphic fidelity textures and all that kind of stuff. So I think that is something. Yeah. But also somebody tweeted me like that. I guess this is the Digital Foundry thing where they said that there's plenty of time to polish the game and improve things even further, even in terms of
I heard
resolution.
The creative director say that. The guy that did Black Flag, that's the same team behind Black Flag is doing Origins.
Yeah.
The creative director said that in a video yesterday that I saw. They've still got 5 months, and there's going to be some glitches, and it's going to be more polished when it releases, and that's common sense,
Yeah.
Well,
they usually
optimize.
optimize. Yeah. They usually optimize resolution within the last 45 days before it launches. So, I mean, there is some time. I'm not really you know, like GKB, to your point, you were saying earlier, like when we first started, that some people were taking what you were saying wrong.
Yeah, I think it came across as where I think they were thinking that I was saying like the Xbox One X. I want to say Scorpio like every freaking.
I know, right?
I know.
Isn't powerful enough to do that, and that's not where I was coming from. I was like, if you look at like Assassin's Creed Unity, yeah, sure, it takes power and all that kind of stuff, but I still believe the Xbox One X can do what Microsoft says it's going to do, and any game that doesn't hit that mark is just a critique and stuff that they don't need at this point, right? So they have to be really clear with their messaging and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I'm saying. And if we don't like have this conversation and talk about this and let devs do the stuff that they're going to do and just let it not do that or keep parity with the PS4 Pro and this, that, and the other, that is bad to me and I don't want that to happen. If I'm paying $500 for this console, I want it to be all that it can be. And I want the devs to be on top of that. And that's why I wanted to have that conversation today. And we had a fantastic conversation with the community.
Oh, and you know what? Let me credit GKB real quick, because what he just said was true. And I think we should all feel that way. But I'm going to say this, and GKB's point is very valid. If we start seeing developers not reaching 4K, and we know, okay, even in layman's terms, we all know, have Dealer correct me or Hellhammer correct me, but we all know in layman's terms that this console can reach 4K natively. Yeah. So if we see a trend here, now we see the bias is leaked through into the gaming world, okay, the gaming industry, and there is a pure hate towards Microsoft. Because if we know a machine can do it, and we're seeing it done on X titles, like right now, and please, again, someone please correct me, is it or is it not, is it confirmed or rumored confirmation that Anthem is going to be 60 frames in 4K or 4K?
That's the rumor. It's going to be 4K. They said that.
Okay, 4K,
but the
right?
Rumor is 60.
Does anybody think Anthem is not that big of a game and it can barely get? No, Anthem's huge.
Yeah,
it's a
but
huge
to
game.
be fair, Mooch, I want to point out that EA has fully come out and said they're going to use the One X to its full capabilities, and a lot of devs are saying that as well because they want their games to show and look the best.
Absolutely.
So if you look at what they've already said, like EA came out and said, "Hey, guess which version of Madden is going to be the best? That one." They flat out said it.
Right.
The best graphical version, the best version.
Well, that's going to put other developers and other publishers on notice.
Have marketing rights with Madden this year?
I think
Microsoft
so.
has marketing rights. Yes, they do. Hey, as we cross 1,000 people watching, hit that like button, man. We got a hell of a panel. Good discussions going on tonight. We appreciate you guys coming out on your Wednesday night. It's been a really intense E3, kind of interesting. Some letdowns and things like that as far as some of these other shows.
It's the calm before the storm crap, and ultimately in 4 or 5 months, whenever this thing releases, you're going to see exactly what we've been saying. It's going to look better and play better pretty much every time. You know,
Go ahead, Homer.
You got to throw out there too, right? Like this is still Gen 1 basically games that are releasing on this, right? For this console. So a lot of these people, while they're used to working with power for PC or whatever the case may be, still haven't got the full optimization down for this. Yeah. I mean, we know that this thing has the custom CPU in there with the DX12 built right in. That could be a bit of a learning curve for some people, depending on the developer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a thing to say like right now, like, oh, it's time to freak out because one game isn't hitting the mark. It's more of a thing that what would have helped us the most would have been either a couple extra first-party games that were hitting the mark.
Good point.
Or a lower price point to get more people in to buy it, besides just the hardcore or the real.
That's what I'm coming from. Fans. Like Hellhammer is like, if you're paying $4.99 for this, like I think it needs to hit the market. Is kind of where I was coming from.
I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? Like I mean, the extra $100 premium, even though it doesn't seem like much. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm still going to end up buying one. I'm not going to trade in my
Look, people are expecting it's 6 trillion calculations per second, no matter how you try to chop it up, right? If you play any Assassin's Creed game, which I actually wasn't sure that Assassin's Creed would run at native 4K because I played others at launch on PC, and they're extremely demanding. That's not some bullshit. You can go watch reviews of PC versions of these games that come out day and date. Yeah. They are demanding games.
In the chat is saying Anthem is using checkerboarding on Xbox One.
I don't know. I'd have to see the article. But either way, I mean, I'm thankful that you can go back and pull up videos of me saying, I don't give a shit. I want graphics.
Oh, yeah. I don't care about resolution.
That's like saying in 3 years when She-Wolf's having a barbecue, she's only going to use Angus beef. Like, come on. How do we know? The game hasn't come out for 2 years. This guy in the chat's telling us what we're doing. Hey, buddy, what's the lotto numbers while you're predicting?
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's where I'm coming from as well. Like, I'm much with GKB on the side of certain things. Just make sure that the messaging is being clear, because I don't want every game that comes out has this big fat asterisk on the back. Can only do this if these circumstances are right. But at the same time, I'm going to give Microsoft and a lot of the devs benefit of the doubt, because a lot of them just barely, it's not that long ago they got these development kits. And while we know that some of them can turn around games relatively quickly, I think the proof is in the pudding, and we'll see the fruits of that labor more so towards next E3 and that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I wanted to
real quick.
touch on.
GKB, real quick. I didn't know it was Red. Red, here's my only thing. The Anthem's not coming out for a year and a half. So, I mean, whether somebody's looking at it under a microscope right now and saying it's checkerboard, it's not fair. I mean,
he said the developer confirmed it.
Yeah.
The developer's confirming that a year and a half from now, they're going to stick with checkerboard.
Well, it's the same thing with what other game? I mean, like you said, you can't never tell until it actually comes out. But I mean, we had always said, or at least on Beastfire, we had always said that they could just checkerboard their games as well and do 60 or raise the effects through the roof. So
I think that's the important part.
I just don't want the motion blur associated with checkerboarding, like on Horizon Zero Dawn. They smash it with motion blur. It's nuts.
Here's the thing to deal with,
Red
because I think he was talking before about it, is like, I don't care about resolution either. If you're going to lower the resolution, that's fine, checkerboard and everything else, but then up the frame rate. But if you're going to drop it and keep it at 30 as well, I think that's a miss to me as well. Like, I don't care if you drop the resolution, but give me more frame rate then.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to at earlier too, right? Like, if you're going to drop the resolution, like if say you're targeting, instead of hitting 4K, you're hitting 1440 or 1800. By losing that, you should be able to give us 60 frames.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me point this out also. Mikey Barra tweeted out today because somebody asked him about the XDKs, and he said they aren't final. So those don't actually go final until October. And also for any of the stuff running, they weren't taking advantage of the 9 gig of memory, I guess, either. So,
well, I mean, that's fair too. But I mean, we've seen like the Forza guys. God, I can't remember the name. God, I'm losing it right now. But
Turn 10
come out and say like they were running like 4K on like lower like SDKs. Like I don't really understand that point.
Well, that's a highly optimized engine.
Yeah, that's a really optimized game. It's unfair to really to put anything up against Forza, at least like the standard motorsport title, because one, that engine is super highly optimized, and two, it's a racing game.
Well, I want to read what Red's trying to get us parts of this into. Red, here's the thing, though. He's writing EA's Patrick, whatever, says he does confirm that it was running on real time on the Xbox One's demonstration. We'll have a deeper look at the demo very soon, but we can confirm 2160p checkerboarding from our test. And what Red was saying was this was something from, again, Digital Foundries. And listen, it's not discrediting Digital Foundry.
Patrick sold.
No. Yeah, but the end of it is. Yeah, but you missed the top part. He's saying it's from Digital Foundries. So EA's Patrick Sutherland is saying that the demonstration was real-time Xbox One, and we'll have a deeper look. But the checkerboarding from our tests. The tests were done by Digital Foundry.
2160p checkerboarding. That's coming from Patrick Sunderland from EA. That's what he Red Dragon said.
Checkerboarding's become the standard. That's pretty obvious. It's it is what it is. Just give me a fucking option. No motion blur.
Here's the thing. We have the the developer documents. Everybody in this, well, except for Mooch, because he was, but we've all seen it. Like, their whole thing is developers have the option to do what they want, whether it be sparse rendering, checkerboarding, and the fact of the matter is, this is the problem that I have with what's going on today, right? And I'll be kind of clear about this. We have a lot of Xbox guys, not you GKB, but a lot of people like the sky's falling in. Oh no, you know what I mean? Like, I got you, and they make it much worse because you already have the PC dudes and the Sony dudes like rubbing their hands together like evil villains. Like every time a game doesn't hit 4K, and we have to be realistic. They've said all along,
right? There's
no mandate for that. There's no mandate for 4K.
Let's be honest; those are like extreme fanboys that are doing that kind of shit.
Yeah. They are, but I mean, like
fans and real Xbox
I get it, but like if I sat there and clapped my hands and rubbed my hands together for every PS4 Pro game that wasn't in 4K, talk about the ones that are, because there's only a couple of them. You know what I mean? It's like it's ridiculous. I mean, look,
Xbox One X already has more native 4K games 5 months before release than Pro has after a year on the market.
Yeah, and most of the Pros are like little arcade stuff.
Yep. And I'm gonna throw out here right now, right? Like most of the people on this panel, we even said up until E3 that this system.
Was that a Darth Vader sneeze?
What was that?
That was a Darth Vader sneeze.
That was a Darth Vader.
But we already all said it. Basically came to an agreement that it was just gonna be, like that we knew for certain that it was gonna be 4K on the first party titles, at least a good portion.
Yeah.
And then we knew that it was going to be up to developers.
I think it's I listen, it's fine. Like whether it's the checkerboard and then you get the textures and the lighting, something else from it. Whatever it is, anybody who doesn't like the Xbox One X, I'm just going to tell you this. It's going to be a better product on the X than it's going to be on the Pro. And that's not hate, that's not liking one or the other. That's just the way it is. So if it's not an actual native 4K, it'll be in textures or draw distance or load time.
Yo, Sonny
I don't
G,
care what
Phil
it is.
Spencer never said all games in native 4K. They said all their exclusives would be 4K.
Yeah, he never said that.
You've got
Why
to
do
be
people lie so much?
You guys, look. You,
I mean, he did do like true 4K gaming and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't like, saying every game was going to be.
Yeah,
he
look.
was saying it's
He
capable.
said
Look,
multiple
guys,
times that the
guys.
devs can use the power
Yes.
however way.
Dude,
they want.
does the Pro have a single native 4K, like huge AAA game, like true
No.
AAA blockbuster?
No.
No.
All right, well, Microsoft already confirmed all of their big-ass Gears, Forza, all that shit. It's going to be native 4K.
Yeah.
It instantly crushes the best-looking shit you have when it comes to if it's at the same resolution or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be so many games running native 4K, big games, not these little games. And not only that, you have to be so careful. And I get it because I think Microsoft has to be careful when they say 4K.
4K. Yeah, that's
Right?
my only
I
rebuttal
totally,
to
I
everything.
totally agree.
Is like you just can't say that stuff if it's not.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause it's
I-
Yeah, well, it
totally
wasn't
agree.
acceptable with Sony to lie about
exactly.
4K. It's not good for Microsoft
Yep.
to do that.
And I totally agree with that. And that was the point that I agreed with you earlier, GKB, because I was working like,
Well, what did they say? What did
Yeah.
Microsoft say?
Well,
That's
well,
I'm just saying
Microsoft-
in the future.
yeah. So like in the future, like we don't know, like those games could be 4K. I don't know, but they list them as 4K. And so people think 4K, just like Sony, right? They go, Spider-Man's going to be 4K. But what's that mean? You know what I mean? Like,
You know what, guys? Some of you guys might disagree with me here, but I'm going to put this right out there. I don't think places like Digital Foundry or whatever should be allowed to go in and critique and fucking analyze products that are still in alpha and beta and all that shit before launch. That shit should be banned from the floor, period. And when the product comes out, then you can criticize it, but not when it's fucking at an E3 and it's still like a year away.
This is the one thing I want to say about like alpha and like beta. That term is used very loosely in this
Yeah,
day and
it is.
age in fucking gaming. Gears is like the only one that actually threw out a beta that was actually a fucking beta. Everybody else was like running 5. It's alpha, guys. It's alpha.
Yeah, but you know what? Listen, GKB, you make a good point. But in the case of Gears 4 and in the case of Assassin's Creed, these games are 5-6 months away. So when you use alpha and
regardless, I'm
beta,
just saying, like,
it's a decent ways out. And the other thing is just that like I don't quite understand the whole. I don't think Microsoft's point on 4K is misleading to today. Now, what they do in the future, I don't know. But I don't think what they've said thus far is misleading as a consumer. The other thing is this, guys. The console's $499 day one. It's a mid-gen console, right? So there's going to be another one coming in 3 years or so, give or take, whatever. In a year or so, this thing's going to be $399, $350. So, I mean, but everyone who's a gamer, look at everybody that comes here and enjoys Craps material and GKB, She-Wolves, Dealer, myself. Listen, you guys are hardcore, okay? Nobody's just randomly like walking down the street and being like, oh shit, that's right, Craps on tonight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, I think he's on after Cheers. Oops. And, like my whole point is like, you got to understand, you guys are gamers. How are you a gamer and not excited about something that is coming out that's going to be great for you every night of enjoyment for $499 that's guaranteeing you, whether it's 4K, lighting, load times, distance, scaling, that's going to be a better product for you.
Yeah,
It's a win-win-win.
I don't think it's a thing of like whether I'm excited or not. I'm absolutely excited. But us as content creators and out there and have influence and stuff, we still have to like be truthful and say things that people.
GKB, until Xbox and Sony issue me a badge, I'm not going to be that guy because you know what ends up happening all the time? is you end up having executives telling you to calm down, okay? And that doesn't work out so well. Take it from me and crap. Listen,
Microsoft did themselves no favors repeating true 4K, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is like they're constantly saying true 4K, true 4K. Yeah, he's not saying every game's gonna be. But
look at their games though. Look at their games though. You know, just like on the Xbox One, 1080p pretty much for their exclusives. They're doing actual 4K. So,
did anybody get a chance to watch the first 60 seconds of the IGN review after Sony's show? They loved it. They didn't like it. They loved it. They said
it was the best show ever.
It's the best show they've ever seen. Microsoft, a week before Microsoft went on stage, there was a rumor that they were going to be from 90 minutes, they were going to cut it down 10 or 15 minutes, which they ended up extending it.
People flipped out.
People flipped out. The media was like, this just in. Microsoft has nothing, right? And then all of a sudden, 60 minutes from 90 minutes, that's a huge loss.
Not showing off their big marketing deals and fucking everything else. Good.
And exactly. And except for the fact that they showed Spider-Man, we saw everything else before. But they were like, have you ever seen anything like this, Marty Sleva? Then Marty Sleva buttoned his cardigan, and he was like, hold on, let me sip my latte.
Oh, Mooch,
that was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And
I said before you got on the show, bro, I gave you all the credit. You were absolutely right about Sony's press conference, bro. Props to you, bro.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Listen, the whole thing, you know what? And I don't blame you for taking the stance you took, because to be honest with you, if we're in Vegas and we were both going back and forth, I probably would have put my money on you because, right? Because, I mean, your bet was the safe one. But the thing is that Sony did this out of pure desperation with these marketing rights because they had nothing ready. They have nothing ready, and we know that now. Now we know that for a fact they have nothing ready. But I mean, nonetheless, to get back to it, so there is a conspiracy here. And when the Xbox community, the only reason me and GKB, when I even chimed in today, GKB, was because once we start to do this, oh no, holy shit, the roof's on fire. When we start doing that, it gives that Digital Foundry, that little thing that they just looked under a microscope, so much more clout. And then IGN rolls with it, and then you got Jason Schroeder rolling. The whole world's rolling with, right, or whatever. I don't know who he is. Whatever. Everybody that doesn't like Xbox just starts making stuff up. Well, like, let's hop on the bandwagon. And get
until now, it's been about resolution, and people have to understand, especially console guys, and it's being confirmed by developers every day. That it's more about the features and the textures and the ambient occlusion and the tessellation. The features that make the game actually look better. Resolution can augment that. And things like checkerboarding, like with Assassin's Creed, I personally believe, because Ubisoft actually invented checkerboarding with Rainbow Six Siege, they implemented that first on Xbox One and PS4. I think checkerboarding is built into their renderer. I think that's all automatic for them because they haven't released an uncheckerboarded game in quite a while. Yeah. So I think that you'll see a lot of checkerboarded stuff from some of these guys anyway.
And it's not a big deal. Go ahead, Hon.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, right? Because the whole thing is that we've been preaching this whole time is that the increased frame rates, the better lighting, the better shadows, your better textures, and that sort of thing is what's going to make these games pop and look better, regardless of, as long as they're 1080p or better, you're going to see a massive difference.
On PC, the first thing we do is not scale it up to 4K and play it at lower settings as possible. It's play everything maxed out and then try to get the resolution up as high as possible.
Yep.
Let's give a shout out. Let's give a shout out to somebody that we all know and trust very much, or we do. I don't know if everyone in the chat, but Tim Dog wrote me today. He goes, Mooch, just wait till you see the draw distance on this son of a bitch. He goes, I'm telling you right now, he goes, I can't put it into words because you're never going to believe me. But he goes, when you're looking now, you're standing there in a game and you look out for what would be quote unquote miles. He's like, the mountains, the buildings, the cars, the definition is insane. And he goes, and that's the thing that's not labeled, or it's never put into a 4K sentence. There's a lot of things, and Dealer just said this, I'm just reiterating it, is that you have to look at all the things this machine is going to give you to make your gaming experience better. And that's something that, Digital Foundry is not going to be like, we're seeing checkerboarding, but I can see a building 6 miles away. They're not going to put that in there.
They will when we actually have something to compare this against. And when they have it side by side next to the Pro, you're going to hear it has more this, that, and better this,
Yeah, that's a great point, because the guys that are on the showroom floor, people that we know who are basically tweeting out things, are all saying this fucking thing looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like everything I've seen, and same thing with like you always notice how the media tries to tear down whatever Microsoft does, right?
Right.
It's so unfortunate. That's why it's like
It's awful.
I know everybody's like, oh well, don't damage control or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like at the end of the day, when you got Xbox dudes ready to take that leap, where you've got everybody's all depressed and like, oh man, then you got the Sony and the PC dudes kind of bearing down on you about this shit. It tends to be a little bit ridiculous, you know what I mean? Like Microsoft.
Well, hell. The media and people were giving Nintendo show a fucking 10 yesterday. Showed off like 7 games for crying out loud.
Hey, tell us how you really feel, noob.
yeah, you heard that rant last night. Well, yeah, if you thought Sony show was one thing, fuck, don't get me started on Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the big thing. Aside from just all the upgrades and everything, like, what you got to look at it this way is that you're getting a hell of a lot of product for the price. Even at the $4.99, like, yeah, I agree. I think Microsoft should have had it lower. But that's basically, that point basically means nothing at this point. I mean, you're getting the UHD, the ultra high definition 4K Blu-ray drive, which those standalone as it sit, $150, $200 for a halfway decent one. And then you're getting the 6 teraflops worth of power, which, I mean, the closest you're getting on that is another $200-$300 graphics card, depending on if you go AMD or NVIDIA.
Shut up.
And you're still not.
No, go ahead, Helmer. I'm sorry.
And you're still not getting the same amount of VRAM or the memory bandwidth on that. You're still not getting, a controller with all that stuff if you build a PC or do whatever that is.
Well,
So it's like this is still an awesome deal if you want to play games. It
is. M Baines 99. M Baines is a fan of a lot of people. Baines is a great guy. Shout out to him. He says something here. This is the thing that nobody else wants to read or listen to the entire thing. He goes, actually, Digital Foundry said the texture quality was close to a high-end PC. Yeah, like, they left a lot of other things out when people were talking about it just because it didn't hit native 4K. First of all, not hitting native 4K 5-6 months before release. Like I said, it's like dipping your hand in the sauce before the tomatoes come to a bubble. You got to calm down. You know what I mean? Like, it's just we gotta sit back and relax. And the whole thing, and shout out to Red. I respect Red and I love his work. But Red was quoting something that came off of that. Listen, if I'm not gonna take Assassin's Creed's dev's word for it currently, because right now they're not even saying anything. They're not saying anything. Okay, it's only something Digital Foundry saw. They picked up a scrap. I'm just picturing him with the Digital Foundry guy with a monocle in his left eye, just looking at it really quick. I don't know about you guys. I'm seeing some checkerboarding here. And now we're talking about Anthem. Anthem's supposed to come out the end of next year, and we're like, I don't know. That might be only fucking 900 people where I'm sitting. It's like, come on.
What I seen when I watched all those trailers, and I've watched all the trailers at least twice for every game, especially the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Is that, and you can even look back on my Twitter feed. I even said this during the E3. These games have PC quality textures or look PC quality.
Right.
And that's the case. That's true. That's where people are going to see the difference, right? The average consumer who walks in, if you don't know anything about tech or if you just whatever, you're looking for the best looking picture or whatever, you go in, you look at these two different things. You're not going to be able to tell much from the resolution because it's difficult to tell for most people. So
I think they get what we're saying, but nonetheless, the people that don't want to believe us, they're not going to believe us. It's kind of a pointless war at this point. So you're just going to have to save this episode, bookmark it, right, and then wait until these games come out. That's how confident I am. Watch Digital Foundry tell you what we've told you over the past year.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this: the big difference, and this is a big comparison, because I used The Witcher 3 for everything, for benchmarks to whatever on my computer. Yeah. Like you turn that settings up from the medium settings, you put it up on ultra, and you start to see how the leaves and everything are more separately rendered. It looks, just looks awesome, even on 1080p.
It's the same reason that your PS4 looks so much better than your PS3. PS3 actually had 1080p games, Minecraft 1080p. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Those old retro arcade games remastered in 1080p, so on and so forth. But Uncharted 4, the thing you're seeing is all of the textures, the effects, the lighting, all of that stuff. It's not the 1080p. The 1080p augments and sharpens the graphics and kind of heightens the fidelity by showing you kind of the fidelity of the settings they have on offer there, right? So if you play Mario 64 in 4K, it's still going to look like Mario 64. It's going to be extremely sharp. They could make that look better by adding those effects I'm talking about, of course. So, I mean, like I said, Digital Foundry will tell you everything we're saying. Just save the video.
And then I'll go, and I'll even say it as well with this stuff is that, the whole thing is this: no matter what you do, people aren't going to believe you until that anyway. So I guess dealers, right? Actually,
they'll forget it.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of the haters and stuff in the media are just using that to kind of shove it down people's ass because they know the console so much better. You know what I mean? Like I made a
Must be doing a handstand when they're doing that shit.
I know, right? But look, even I made a comment. I'm like, look, here's the thing. This is a couple of incidents as far as like this whole native 4K or parody thing. Like Destiny 2 could very well be some kind of back behind doors marketing agreement that, you know what I mean? They don't want the Xbox One X to have the best version. Yeah. Sony probably pays a shit ton of money to get that content. You know what I mean? Probably $50 million. So there could be some kind of deal with that as to where they don't allow, you know, another console version to have a superior version. So, you know, that's unfortunate, but that's the minority because a lot of the other things that I was looking into it, all these devs love the One X. They're like, yeah, we're going to be able to do 4K or we're going to be able to do, you know, this and 60 frames. And I'm happy because early on, we all saw the documents that said, hey, there's no kind of limit to what developers can do. They can start on like high settings, go from there. They can do, you know, sparse rendering, this rendering, that rendering.
Turn 10 confirmed better lighting and stuff for Forza 7 on the X as well. And GKB, I know you know what HBAO is. Did you notice that in the Assassin's Creed Origin gameplay you saw on Xbox One X?
Honestly, I didn't like get that much into it, man, to actually notice it.
If you watch the kind of 30-minute kind of streams of it on a high fidelity stream, yeah, they're using the actual Horizon
gameplay they were doing.
Yeah, they're using Horizon-based ambient occlusion in there, which is a high-end PC feature. It looks phenomenal. Yeah. So you wouldn't get that.
That's good stuff. That's what we want.
Yeah.
It's all these little features and that kind of thing that makes the big difference. And also, don't forget that we're also getting the 16x filtering on the games that aren't getting patched, on your backwards compatible games, now going all the way back to the original Xbox.
And The Witcher is getting a patch. Holy shit!
Yes.
Oh my god.
4K.
I
don't know. They didn't confirm 4K, but it's going to get a patch.
If it gets a patch, even if it just puts it up on the high settings, which I mean, it should be able to do more than that because I mean, you can run Ultra and pretty much all the stuff on if they're still going to keep it locked at 30. On a pretty decent graphics card, you know, 4 to 6 teraflops easily will run it.
The Scorpio's more powerful than my card, than GKB's card, and on Witcher we can do if you turn HBAO down or off, you can get 1440 60 on that. So they can at least do minimal 1080 60 if the CPU is not an issue. Either way, you're getting way better.
Look, just do. I mean, look, even just this, right? If they do 1080 30 and they put it on higher ultra settings. Go back and look at gameplay from that thing on the Xbox, or put it into S and play a standard version and play it on that. And tell me you don't see the difference. Tell me you don't see the difference.
Guy in the chat here, he's Cano Bus. Give him a shout out, man. Great point he makes. And this is for the AAA stuff. I know that Sony has a couple of they probably have some low grade stuff that they got at native 4K. But Cano Bus says checkerboard on the Pro is the highest option. Checkerboard on the Xbox One X is the lowest. And that's
that is a good remember.
It's a very good thing to remember.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
So when you see something like Anthem or Assassin's Creed, and you don't believe me, that's fine. Don't believe me. Listen to Dealer. Dealer said it. Assassin's Creed is one of the games. Okay, it's one of the games out there that's the most demanding. Okay, it's demanding PC rigs.
They're not optimized very well, to be honest.
Right, so if it's checkerboard, if it ends up being checkerboard, you're still getting the premium console experience. And if you're somebody, and you know, it's hard. Maybe it's hard for some people that are PC folks, and not like I personally. I just choose. I don't want to build a PC. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy. I just don't want to be that guy.
You know what? I'm gonna go out and say this, right? Like you could go do some research into stuff, and I've seen this multiple places. If the checkerboard thing was that big of a thing for PC people, then they wouldn't be asking for NVIDIA and AMD to include that in the lower-end cards. There's literally people asking and begging for this stuff, so that way they can build cheaper computers to get. I've seen multiple posts on Reddit, all kinds of places.
That's the problem when you stumble upon a revelation like that, and you remember, oh, well, none of these people really give a shit because they just want their console to stack up or be better. Yeah. Not really looking at things like specs and stuff, you know. So I know people that say there is going to be no difference between the Pro and the Scorpio or X1X, and it's mind-boggling because they just ignore all the stuff that's just said by developers.
Yeah, you know the interesting thing is because these developers they hang on words like checkerboarding, right? Yeah, I know, right? Where's developers, yeah. But they hear the word checkerboarding, right? So they automatically and obviously they associate everything checkerboarding with the Pro because it's a weak piece of shit. So the second that they hear checkerboarding for the Xbox One X, then they jump on it and think that it must be the same thing, not realizing that they're checkerboarding probably at a lot higher base resolution with a lot more things going on, and just the memory and stuff like that is going to help with draw distance and pop in and all that kind of stuff. They don't realize that, so it makes them really sound kind of ignorant, and they kind of like want to like do these little celebratory dances and stuff like, hey, checkerboarding. Like, look, we knew that it wouldn't, and as the generation goes on, there'll probably be a lot more games that do that because these things are becoming more and more demanding. But the fact of the matter is, it still has way more AAA games from current gen that are 4K than the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro.
Here's the thing I don't want, like, crap. Like, I totally get what you're saying, and you're absolutely correct. Like, I don't think checkerboard's like a bad thing. I don't think any of that. But what I don't want, and what we've seen in the past, because Mooch even brought it up with the Diablo 3 guys and all that stuff, is I don't want lazy development. If the Scorpio can put out higher fidelity, higher resolution, higher frame rates, then fucking do it.
Yep,
Don't
exactly.
fuck out with checkerboard rendering.
Yeah, exactly what I said earlier on Twitter is if you're as a developer have a multi-plat game and you have a PC version where it has an unlocked frame rate, then you should be able, or an unlocked resolution and that sort of thing, you should be able to hit that on the Xbox One X easily.
Exactly.
Since
they're
they're
higher settings.
Yeah, since it's taken such a short amount of time to actually do that, I think that would make
no excuses.
that would make the absolute most sense in my opinion.
GKB makes a great point, and you know I haven't done the hashtag lazy devs in a long time. And listen, I'm not saying that we should do this for the Assassin's Creed folks because we don't know yet, and we don't know. Maybe they're going to
have a conversation with you, Mooch,
absolutely,
to get that out there. You know, like because this does happen. This is a thing.
It definitely happens. It definitely exists. And this time, though, this time it's a different world. This time, Microsoft's handing them a very powerful and capable box. So don't, like you said, don't tell me you can't do it. And my point to you, the only thing, you made a good point that we should bring it up. My only rebuttal back to you was, let's make sure we're waving the finger at the right person, okay? Because it's not Microsoft's fault. And that was my whole point with that 5-star kitchen thing. If I give you all the tools and resources, it's the chef that fucks up, not the kitchen. Right.
And I get that, but at the same time, like the perception is 4K, 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 and that's what Microsoft's screaming. So they still have to be careful with that and on that front.
Agreed.
You know, and the other thing I will say too is that at the end of the day, right? Like if Microsoft is, you know, they're not to blame, obviously, if it's not their game. But at the same case in point, if Microsoft still has to basically review these games, kind of give them the go ahead to be published, which I mean, I'm sure with like giant developers like Ubisoft and EA and that sort of thing, they just kind of get fast tracked right on through. But you know, they should definitely maybe make some kind of remark on that kind of thing, maybe input or send some people around to get these things optimized to run up to a higher resolution. I mean, you gotta do something because these games, like as I said, paying the premium price for a sub premium experience doesn't work. I mean, right? Like maybe this wouldn't have been such a big deal, you know.
Yeah,
hey,
but
this
the
is
thing is, Hellhammer, your sentence makes a lot of sense, except for the fact that Microsoft showed 42 games and like 38 of them are going to be 4K native. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that.
Like I understand that one or two could come out. You can't go spend $4.99 on November 7th, and all these games come out this fall, and every game is in 4K. All your old games, or majority of the ones you care about until they update the rest, are all in 4K. One game comes out that's checkerboard, and you're like, fuck this shit.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that Microsoft needs to get a hold of this, though, and make sure that it doesn't become.
If it's a trend, I gotta see. Right, I gotta, and that's what me and GKB. That's where we finally agreed when we ended our conversation.
Our conversation was fucking all over the place with everybody in there. So it was kind of hard to keep keep it centered. But
remember, did you see what I said at the end? I'm like, let's do this on a podcast.
Yeah.
You guys, think though, this is probably not going to happen, but I think it would be a nice gesture on Microsoft's part to maybe at least pack in a 4K game or even a couple of 4K Blu-rays or something like that with the Xbox One X.
They're giving you Game Pass and maybe they're giving you a month of Game Pass packed in and a 14-day Xbox Live trial. So
I mean, I think that they should throw in something that's 4K, even if it's an updated 4K game. Even if it's like Forza Horizon 3.
Even if it's Forza 6, you know, patched with the 4K patch or something like that, you know, that'd be awesome.
I don't. Are they patching Forza 6 or just Forza Horizon 3?
Just Forza Horizon 3.
Forza Horizon 3.
Okay. You would think that they'd be able to patch Forza 6 since Apex
You know
is
what?
basically the same shit.
But the problem is that I can see why Microsoft isn't going to go back and patch the old Forza Motorsport games because they're trying to sell you the new one.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh
Good
yeah,
point.
I mean that's a good point. I
They're
mean
they're trying to sell you 7, even though 7 has more features and apparently according to this, according to what the article I just looked up, it has like over 600 Forza Vista cars where you could like view
700, man.
700, yeah.
They confirm that it's running.
They
They confirm that it's running high and ultra settings. So
Yeah.
4K 60.
Oh, but there's no way that's not. I mean,
Dynamic
that thing, that the demo for Forza 7 just blew me away. To be honest,
Yeah,
looked-
that was
that
my
game
favorite
looks
as
so
well.
much better than because people were crazy about the Apex and the PC stuff when Digital Foundry. Forza did, well, that's not a good game, blah, blah, blah. Well, Forza 7 looks a lot better than Forza 6 Apex on PC. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
and
I
they
can say
said,
that too.
they said ultra high settings at 4K 60, and I bet you they're using at least 2 XAA just to waste power. So, I mean, they're getting some juice out of it.
Well, they still even said they had more power to go. Like they could still add more stuff into it.
Yeah, they said by the
yeah.
time they got up to 4K 60, they had 30% left.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so I'm reading what Jez Gordon wrote about his Assassin's Creed Origins things. He says, I played Assassin's Creed Origins at the Xbox Showcase in Los Angeles at E3, and it was stunning. Quite easily one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. I've never cared much about resolution or visual wars, but after playing that game at 4K with HDR, I never want to lay eyes on a 1080p monitor ever again. I spoke to a developer from Ubisoft working on the game and inquired about the version parity between PS4 and Pro and Xbox One X. He told me that Assassin's Creed Origins will be 4K at 30 frames per second on both Xbox One X and Pro, which I found a little confusing. If the PS4 Pro can handle 4K 30, Origins utilizing the Xbox One X's additional overhead. It isn't, apparently. The developer told me that both versions use dynamic resolution scaling to maintain frame rate stability, so more intense cutscenes might see the 4K resolution drop below momentarily to keep the game running smoothly. He said that the Xbox One X version resolution would most likely drop below true 4K far less often, and perhaps not at all when compared to the PS4 Pro, but also that the differences would be imperceptible to the human eye. If the differences between the Assassin's Creed Origins across Xbox One X and the Pro will be imperceptible, and this trend extends to other major third-party AAA games like Call of Duty, Destiny, what's the point of getting an Xbox One X?
Hang
over
on.
the
So
PS4
he
Pro?
said he said it isn't apparently.
Yeah, well, it isn't what perceptible. It's imperceptible.
No, like he said, how is it using the overhead over the Pro, right? And he said it.
Yeah,
isn't
he's
apparently.
asking that question. Yeah.
And the dev said it isn't.
But wait, can you please go back to the
go
part?
back, 'cause
Go
I was
back
a
to
little
the
bit-
because
Because
he
the
was
dev one
that
today
goes
said-
all over the place. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it won't be, but it could be, and it
No,
should
hang
be,
on, hang on.
but it wouldn't
We've
be.
already got proof that that's not true because the developer on the Xbox stage already said it has better draw distance and higher features.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
So
not.
this could be the lunch boy that he's talking to.
Yeah,
for
he's talking to somebody who's handing out free Assassin's Creed
Because I
skins.
sat there and watched one of the lead engineers on the game say Xbox One X has higher draw distances, better features. I mean, how is that the case if it doesn't do anything? I think they're just trying to walk a tightrope. That's what
Yeah.
they're trying to do.
They don't want to hurt any feelings. They want to sell. They want to sell their product.
It's 30 frames minimal. They can throw
Right.
into resolution and features. There's no way it's the same game.
I got a guy.
We'll see.
I got a guy here with the perfect analogy on all this shit. Guys, I just wanted to say that Microsoft has got the fucking power to go bareback on this son of a bitch, but the fucking publishers, they are fucking strapping a condom on this sucker and calling it a day.
Thank you, you hillbilly. You know you don't use condoms where you're from, bro. That's just all like hillbilly stuff over there, man. It's like it feels so good, I can't be bothered to use that.
Never heard this poem.
No,
When days were young and nights were old and condoms weren't invented, I wrapped a sock around me cock and
listen, dealer makes a hell of a point. And if you just go back, and I know you don't have to read it because nobody wants to hear that on a podcast, but if you repeat that third or fourth sentence from the end there again, where he goes, well, it might cut down a little bit or it might not cut down at all. It may stay true for native 4K. Like, come on, look at it. First of all, it's 5 months out. This guy knows that he doesn't want anything to get in publication that makes one not want to sell bigger on the other. That's just, you just don't want to do that, okay? Yes, they have remember, Microsoft's marketing deals, look at how people have no problem stabbing Microsoft in the back. Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's exclusive. For how long? Oh, until about next Thursday. Listen, what the fuck? Why would you say something like that? They just say everything they want. The Witcher 3 people, they did something to Microsoft, or they did the whole the wrong thing with the Conan show. Everything is a mess. Listen, Don't listen to these people that are on the E3 floor. They're screaming. They're talking to a million press people. They know Jez is press now. And that's just the way it is. They have to be neutral. They have to be neutral. Dealer said it himself. There's no way in God's green earth that the Xbox One X is the same thing. There's just no way.
Well, the game engineer said it on the Xbox stage, on the Xbox Daily stage. So, I mean, he said it himself. So,
yeah, it's
what
just
else do you want?
Yeah, you know, and don't get me. And I thought we had confirmation. I thought we had confirmation from Jez that Battlefront 2 was going to be native 4K 60 frames.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, but EA is the ones that are really leveraging these, Xbox One X to its full capabilities.
But crap, you keep every time I say that, you're talking about E&A like that's a mooch and crap joint. Okay, EA's fucking big. They're huge. If EA's on board, that doesn't look good if you're another publisher and you can't keep up with EA. Like you look like shit, so you got to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, EA is always trying to stay on top of the stuff with the newest tech and stuff. I think they just opened some kind of thing to completely leverage the Xbox One X. I think one of the major problems that Microsoft is, and maybe you saw Tim Dog's tweet. He said that Microsoft should have been leveraging exclusives to showcase this thing, right? Because if you look at it, like Crackdown is a really good looking game, and I saw somebody interview Phil Spencer today, and they actually brought up the fact that they don't have, even though they have 4K and stuff, they don't have a true exclusive right now. That's how do you put it, Mooch? That's like photorealism. You know what I mean? It's like
not cartoony.
Yeah, and somebody brought that up. Even they're like, the Sea of Thieves, it looks good, but it's like not photorealistic. Crackdown 3, it's not photorealistic. So it's kind of like Nintendo. If Nintendo were to come out with a 4K beast of a console, are you really going to notice it because it's just Mario and stuff? You know what I mean? Like Super Smash Brothers and whatnot.
I'm glad some games are not photorealistic. If that be the case, we'd have Super Mario going around with Danny McBride as the lead character.
Shorter version, but yes.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you think about that, Mooch? I mean,
I've always said that's Microsoft's weakness, in my opinion. Okay, is that they don't have. Listen, I think, and it's funny because the other side of the coin has too many. Sony has too many of the realistic games, and nothing like just say sit down. It's like kind of cartoony, and Microsoft has everything cartoony and nothing that serious. And listen, depending on the gamer, you might say, geez, I like the way it sits right now. That's fine. Myself personally, I wouldn't mind something like a Days Gone or something like a The Last of Us on the Xbox.
Whereas the PS4 seems like all the games are like The Last of Us. And I know some people might like that, but to me, it's like they're going a little bit overboard with a lot of that. Like, Dealer, what did you think? Because have you noticed that at all? Like, a lot of their games now are that kind of in the wilderness, over the shoulder.
Yeah, that's
you know
what
what I mean?
Thinking when I watched Days Gone, was it?
Exactly. See, and I'm not saying that it looked like a bad game. Just it's not a game for me. But doesn't that look like
they do the hell out of third-person action adventure type cameras in games? I'll tell you that. So, and that's actually coincidentally, the type of game Xbox needs is something like that. So. I mean, they've got the best racer, they've got the best first and third person shooters, and they've got the best RTS type strategy games. They need something like
action adventure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and I think that was like one of my dings for like Microsoft's conferences. We didn't see no new first party IPs and all that, and I would like to see those third party action adventure games as well.
What do you think Microsoft is going to do? Because obviously, like months ago, I think, Dealer, we all said, hey, we might have to expect a little bit of lull in their first party stuff. I mean, how long do you figure people wait? I mean, this console and having like really good multi-plats and stuff like that will do some good. But as far as the future is concerned, when do you think Microsoft brings out something new? Because I've heard that they have stuff in play for Gamescom, but Sony again said, "Oh, well, we held stuff back."
They never have anything huge in play for Gamescom. I mean, think about it. Like E3 is the biggest stage. You know, Gamescom is the biggest event, but E3 gets the most coverage, and they usually do that there. So as we've said quite a while ago, it'll be a lull. I think next year you'll get teasers and maybe one or two games. I know you get State of Decay. And maybe another game, whatever Playground are working on. And then I think 2 years is when things will really kick into overdrive. But in the meantime, you'll have, State of Decay and some other stuff. Of course, they announce new stuff every single year. So we'll have to see. But 2 years from now, there's no doubt that $1 billion comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you hear what Yoshida said though? Because people were asking about surprises and stuff, and they about Sony's lackluster E3. Unless you're Greg Miller, you give it a 10 out of 10. And he said that they held stuff back for PSX, but their E3s have steadily been getting shorter and shorter this entire generation. And I think that that's a little bit of a concern as well.
E3 is like Hoyt's and your major motion picture theaters, and PSX is like when somebody's like, I got a big projection screen, we're going to have a camp out outside. Don't tell me you're holding out for that trash. That's just a bunch of Greg Miller wannabes in line for too long. And they show you like Fat Princess 2.
Well, I know that if Microsoft had the software to do their own Xbox event thing, then people would be hyped for it and they'd look forward to it, But it hurt Sony this year. Like I said, if they would have saved The Last of Us and some other stuff, then they would have done much better this E3. So at the end, the real question is it smart for them to even do PSX? Because it detracted this year.
Yeah. I think that's a question that they'll have to ask. Like, I mean, yeah, imagine
they're
they
going
would
to
have
do
been
it,
able
but I
to
don't think they're going to show anything new. I think they're just going to show the same shit they've been showing.
Well, they do have sucker punches. What if they?
Why would they wait till then to show that shit, man? Like, they
I have no idea
for
you know
E3. Like what
it's not ready. It's not ready, guys. This is the thing. Everybody had Sony with 65 games to show, all of them AAAs. Like that's not like. Where is everybody? Everybody's in fantasy camp. I just don't get it. And I've been saying this for a long time. Sony's broke. Phil Spencer said it the other day. We don't care how many consoles we sell. We don't make any money on that. He's like, we make money on software.
They're a bro company, bro. They're going after some big third party fucking putting a lot of shit ton of money in there.
I bet you they don't do that next year.
Are you kidding me? Have you ever seen a bar just before it goes under? They got a lot of fucking like fireworks and flare outside. It's not that like you listen. I'm telling you,
like I think they have more money than we give them credit for, and they're
listen. $9 billion is nothing to sneeze at, right? But $465 billion. I mean, are we in the same hemisphere? You know what I mean?
When you start talking billions, bro, does it really matter at that point?
It does when you're talking corp,
well,
like corporation. If you're talking about me and you, no.
Sony's putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting most of theirs into their game division because all their other divisions have fucking tanked.
Yeah, they don't have anything.
They've sold them off.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've completely sold them off.
I shouldn't say that they're listen to me. When I use the words broke, I mean in comparison to Microsoft, first of all. Number two, everyone keeps going, 62 million consoles sold. They make $15 to $25 a console. Phil said it himself. I know when you guys saw this. I know you guys know it's not just me. Phil said it. He said it in an interview this week. He's like, listen, I know you guys always count the consoles, but he's like, we actually strive on the service and the software. That's where the money is. Because he goes, if you take a console, go home, plug it in. Yes, thanks for your $20, but then you don't use it. And that's the thing with casuals. The casuals go home, they buy Madden, Call of Duty, and one other game a year. It's not being used the way that we use it all the time. That's why Microsoft boasts these other numbers they're doing a month because they're like, we're getting rich.
Yeah,
we're getting rich.
Which brings a good point to that, actually, right? Because you could take a look at the numbers even themselves, right? Sony's saying that it's supposedly 60 million consoles sold, but then these supposed big exclusives sell, 800,000 to a million and a half? I mean, that's a horrible attach rate versus,
I
say,
pointed
like
out
Halo
again,
5.
Horizon Zero Dawn didn't sell that well in the grand scheme of things. Probably.
I was just about to bring that up. We covered that before, where it sold like 3.2 or something.
And
people say Gears flopped and Forza flopped, and it's like Forza did over 2.5 physical alone, and Gears is around 3 million. Yeah, around 3 million physical alone. How did those flop on half the install base? Are you kidding me?
Exactly. So I was saying that, I think, and this is not a knock on Horizon, so don't stop with the hate. And I know GKB, you're rolling your eyes because you love that game, but it's like, for me, I think it's a good game. But
say what you want, man. I don't care.
But people are just like, oh man, that game sold so well, and I'm thinking, man, you got 60-some million consoles out there, and you only sold 3.3 million of this game, and it's a big AAA game that they probably haven't even broken even on that game yet.
Well, I mean, that's because a lot of
the
casual fucking people over on the PS4, the ones that just play COD and fucking everything else, they're not really looking at these kind of games, too, to be fair. But I agree. If Forza and all them are only selling 2.5, 3 million, whatever, I don't think that's a flop, and I don't think Horizon Zero Dawn selling 3 million is a flop. I think that's good for I want games to do well.
GKB, I'm totally speculating here, but they said something at one point, okay, back in the day. It's like I said with gold records and the same thing with platinum records, okay? Back in the day with gaming, and maybe it was like 10 years ago, when you sold 1 million copies of a game, it was, you had a gold record. That was a big deal. But now the gold, if you're an industry leader in music and you sell only gold records, you're a nobody. Okay, so now the new platinum is 5 million. That's why Halo tooted its numbers. That's why Uncharted tooted its numbers, and that's why Horizon. They're like, it was a really good first month. And then they stopped talking because
but if we're gonna sit here and say Forza Horizon or whatever like sold 2.5, I don't think that's a shit game. And
I'm with you. No, I'm right there with you, and I feel the same way about Horizon too. Both Horizon, the car, and Horizon Zero Dawn. My point is, what I'm saying to you is that like but as far as being an investor and money and what they expected to come back, 3.5 million Horizon Zero Dawn to 62 million consoles. That's not a good ratio. Okay, and maybe that same thing goes for the Forza Motorsport and the Forza Horizon with Microsoft. I don't know.
We talked about this too with like Recore and all that kind of stuff, and you and Rand both were telling me it's all about what their expectations are, right? So if their expectations are only that, or 3 million, 5 million, whatever the case may be, I mean, to them it might be a good thing. I mean, so it all depends on that, really.
Well, and crap, it's your show. I don't want to shift, but there was a lot of talk the past couple of days about switching over to games. And my concern. You want to talk about my concern? My concern was not Assassin's Creed at all. I could give two shits how that's going to be just fine. My concern was Crackdown 3.
Yeah,
I'm hearing some really mixed reviews here. I'm hearing from the people that we know, and I trust them, I really do, that it's fun. And here we go again. This is Crapgamer Friday the 13th coming at you. Guys, it's fun. That doesn't mean that Jason doesn't get stuck in a tree. Okay, like my point being is that like I'm hearing Crackdown's a lot of fun, but for the 4K launch game, it's not that beautiful. And
No. I talked to people who played it though, and they say it's awesome.
I've heard that too. But in all fairness, they're big time Microsoft fans. As I am and you are.
Hey, I don't. Come on, I think we could give those people a lot more credit than just calling them Microsoft fans. I mean,
well, they're massive Microsoft fans. My point is, like I'm saying, like is that like I'm concerned. Like a lot of people have said that it doesn't look that stunning. And I'm concerned a little bit because
it's an exact example of how resolution augments graphics. And Crackdown's never been a powerhouse when it comes to vision.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a multiplayer, which is where the crazy visuals are with the cloud compute, which has been confirmed to still be there. So.
Yep. And I'm also going to throw out this there as well, right? So one thing that people might be having an issue with is that the game is cell shaded. So a lot of people it's hard to put in those little details and that sort of thing that you're going to see.
That's true. That's an art design direction they went in, which I think looks good. By the way, I just want to go on. I only seen people who took a quick video and tweeted it out to Twitter. It looks good. I'm actually looking very much. I'm very much looking forward to it.
That's
at least they have a goddamn launch game for their 4K console or PS4 Pro.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, not only that,
it's like fun. I mean, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people aren't used to that kind of art design, right? And so, I mean, basically, you're stripping out a lot of the textures and stuff that you would see in a normal, like, say, open world game because of that. Two, it's the same thing with Assassin's Creed. 5 months out before launch or more.
I mean,
basically, this is basically alpha footage as it sits as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Crackdown 3 is going to be just fine. I really do. But I think get ready, guys. Put your fucking seatbelt on because here comes the headlines. Microsoft's first 4K game doesn't live up to expectations.
I wouldn't worry about the headlines and worry about the Sony guys. I say to the Xbox,
one building out of 100 did not blow up. This game,
it's just
it's funny you say that though, dealer. Tim Dog had said that he did a little research and that it's really the tale of two games. So there's a single player and there's a multiplayer, both being done by different developers. And I think that he's saying that Microsoft's emphasis and really showcase is the multiplayer. Yeah. And the single player was not, I don't want to use the word thrown in, but that's the secondary.
No. Here's the thing. This is Tim Dog's exact words to me. He goes, people are freaking out about the single player. The single player, think of it as the exact opposite of most games do nowadays where they tack on a multiplayer. This is a tacked on single player. They did say that it'll take between 12 and 16 hours to beat, or you could just rush through it and beat it in 3 hours. People were running with that narrative, but like the average playthrough of that game is going to be 12 hours on the single player, which is good. And the multiplayer is like this full on destructive environment, things like that. But Sumo Digital did the single player while like 3 other teams did the multiplayer or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, let's look at it this way, right? For what it is, really. Like Crackdown has never been a big game. Like, I like the first one. I haven't played the second one. I didn't beat the first one because I was like way before I got super hardcore into the gaming side. But like, or like super hardcore to Xbox or whatever. You know, but those games never sold a shit ton. They were never real big. But it was a recognizable IP. So that's why they wanted to put in the some kind of multiplayer that they could show off this tech for like the cloud compute and all this other stuff. And then on the other side of it is that Microsoft probably should have chose something a little bit better to show off as a 4K launch game than something that was cell shaded.
Well, they do have, yeah, they should actually just launch Forza 7 that same day. I don't get why they're launching that like a month beforehand. Does that make sense?
Like that's
it makes absolutely no sense.
Forza 7 should be the launch game for it, hands down, because that's what's going to show off what the system can do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's going to be the one that's noticeable that people are going to be able to look at and be like, oh my god, yeah, right, like.
But then again, guys, let's also call a spade a spade. The fact is, it is out earlier, and the minute you turn on your Xbox One X, it's going to look amazing. So yeah, it's not going to be there, but it's there. You know what I mean? Like, I
mean, I'm not even playing Forza 7 until I get the X.
Nobody is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna buy it.
But I mean, it's there.
I'm gonna buy it.
But think about it: whether the guy at GameStop puts the box out 30 days before X comes out, or 30 seconds before you walk in to buy the X, what do you give a shit?
Yeah. When are we gonna be able to pre-order this thing?
I don't know.
Well, I listened to Albert Pinello's interview with the guys at IGN, which was excruciating. I actually was giving myself torture and pulling out my own fingernails. Yeah, so, but he did make a comment because someone was like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And I was like, you're a liar. You know, it was Damon Hatfield. I hate even saying his name. But anyways, he's like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And Albert was like, yeah, we got a couple things. It'll be available later. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I thought he said later this summer. It sounds like it's later. Like, it could be mid-July and July. There's a little bit of paperwork that's got to go through here. So here's the good news. You know, short of Digital Foundry, like fucking Microsoft over, like today, this is just going to build up hype. And what normally would have been a decent pre-order crowd on Monday morning, maybe a very large crowd come into July.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like if they would have had pre-orders ready to go, though, this thing would already be the top of the list on Amazon and stuff like that.
Oh, it would. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and that go ahead.
To me, it seems kind of silly that Microsoft went through all this and didn't get this thing ready to go pre-order right after, right? Because the whole day, and I know that I can't be the only one, like watching the show, I was sitting there refreshing Amazon and the Microsoft store to see when this fucking thing was going up for pre-order, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened.
The longer it's out there, the better, you know? The longer it's out there for pre-order, the better.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, because look, we were all kind of surprised. I thought October release, but here we are with like a November release. It's, I mean, still early enough in the year. So.
You want to talk about bummed? This is just a me problem, but I mean, I'm bummed it's November 7th. I was so fixated on the beginning of October.
Yeah,
I was
I mean, that's such a big deal. 30 more days is a big deal.
I told you that it wouldn't be till
but
end of October.
Yeah, but listen,
beginning of November.
Yeah, but the thing is, Hellhammer, the only reason it wasn't that I don't believe you, but the reason that like I wasn't just like falling into the whole like what did you say there, the Scorpio thing in the time frame is because it was called Scorpio. I mean, short of somebody who hasn't graduated 6th grade yet, like we all could see what the dates are.
And I thought that from the very beginning, though. I was like, this thing has to come out end of October.
I think it has nothing to do with the Zodiac symbol. I think it has more to do with the fact of production, personally. But I could be.
I don't know.
That's why.
I think Microsoft knew about the right time that they were releasing it. That was probably just a big hit. They weren't expected. It was so simple that it was, you know.
See, I'm looking at the glass a little bit different than what Dealer was saying. Dealer was saying the longer it's out for pre-order and the longer the game is out before Black Friday, maybe those things are like those are just that's the paper answer because he's right. If you look at paper, but I'm looking at it differently. If everything continues to build up hype and things are going in the right direction, to get people that go, the people that I really want to pre-order it, and then you talk to somebody like, I can't wait to pre-order it. And somebody goes, what are you going to pre-order? Oh, the Xbox One X. What's that? Oh, it's this. And this steam builds up. I think you get a larger group when that opens up later. And maybe that's Microsoft's thought with going with little, closer to Black Friday, is it's more of that like supply and demand, right? Because the supply and demand talk gets really, really hot and heavy around Black Friday. It's like, you better get there. What time? What time's Toys R Us open? It opens at 6 p.m. But I'm eating Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter. You're not gonna get it.
I know that when Crap first learned about the PS4 Pro, he pre-ordered it because he was looking forward to seeing what it could do, and he kind of pre-ordered it right when it was announced. He forgot about the pre-order.
And then he hibernated and forgot he hit the button.
Yeah, but if they would have done that later, after all the negativity started coming out, he would have never pre-ordered it in the first place.
Well, it was funny. It's funny though because I get everything pretty much. Like even like the VR and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to the X. Like people try to bum you out on that or whatever, but that shit didn't really work. That doesn't really work on me because.
Look, you could be disappointed in small things here or there, and still be excited for what's coming, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like somebody comes up and they offer you a Ferrari and it's the wrong color. I'm gonna be like, that kind of sucks, but it's still a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, the Xbox One X, that thing's got me super hyped. They did a good job showing that shit off.
Be hyped, people. Enjoy yourself. This is a big deal. This is gonna be the closest thing a console gamer's had to a decent PC experience ever.
By the way, Mike Ibarra compared it to a $1,500 PC, and he wasn't the only one. The developer for Ark Survival Evolved said the same thing. GTX 1070, 16 gigs of RAM.
It's about that range, right? The GTX 1070 is about 6 teraflops. About the right amount because you're not having to run an OS or security software or anything like that in the background. It's strictly gaming.
Yeah.
How much
is that card? How much is that?
A 1070 is about 350 to 380 depending on a good sale.
Right, and I think Dealer was even saying something. I'll give Dealer credit. I think he's saying you take that, you put the other components all in there that are necessary, then you have to buy the software and you have to buy the case. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's got to understand. And here's the benefit of it. Like, nobody ever wants to talk about this. This is the mid-gen. In 3 years, guys, we're going to get something stupid powerful.
Phil Spencer already said that.
Yeah, he's already said it.
Yeah,
he already said it.
This is stupid powerful. That's what people.
It is right. No, Dealer, great point.
If it's not doing 60 FPS and all that, that's a letdown. But that all comes from them staying with similar architecture on the CPU side. The GPU is not the bottleneck when it comes to frame rate here. Nope. It is not. Yep. Any game could be run at 60 on 6 teraflops in the world at ultra settings. You could go as low as 1080p, whatever. It's not the GPU. So, if anything, maybe Microsoft and Sony next generation will put an emphasis on the CPU, make sure it can do what it needs to do. Yeah. But ultimately, it comes down to the developers. We've seen great examples like the Surge. They got a 60 frames mode on the Pro. And I always tell people, you got plenty of games, or at least several, with 60 frames modes on the Pro. Yeah. You're getting that on Scorpio.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. And that's the only thing that I'm hoping for is that I'm not saying every game should have it, but I'm hoping that at least a good portion. And that the first party games especially have that option to go from, say, if it's 4K 30, run it at 1080, equivalent to high ultra settings at 60.
And that's the problem with a closed platform like that is you just don't know because it's up to the developers. Yeah. It's up to them, and will they tell you why or why not? No, maybe they just don't want to go through and make sure the frame pacing's perfect. Maybe they don't want to put in that work, but maybe they do, maybe they can't. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that at least some of the first party games have that on there because that would make sense, right? Like, especially since they're also touting this as being super good, which it will be, but for people who haven't upgraded to 4K.
And for people listening, the best way to let them know is to tweet at Microsoft, tweet at Phil, tweet at the developers, tweet at Rob Ferguson for Gears 4. Tell them you want a 60 frames option in the campaign. If it can be done, I'm sure it will be implemented enough if enough of you do it.
Yeah, and we all, and I'm sure I know at least because I have Gears on the PC, but it can easily do 60 on the campaign easy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an issue.
That's something I would definitely tweet out to Rod. Say, Rod, for Mike, listen, you can't dictate the third party. You just can't. We've learned that over the past 3 years. But you can say, Microsoft, can you please? I would not love a 1080p 60 frame option on my Xbox One X.
Yep,
love that on Gears.
You know what? Also, I would love a 1080 60 high ultra for Forza Horizon 3 because that game is much smoother at 60 frames. And I'm not saying that.
Do we know if they're going to do a 60 option on that?
We don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's just what I would like.
That hasn't been talked about at all.
I mean, with my i7 and about 5.93 T-flops, I can do 14, 40, 60 pretty consistently. So that's double 1080p. So the CPU's got to be pretty beefy in that game, though, because the CPU is not really optimized, at least in the PC side of things, you know. So. Oh my
god, yeah. You know what happens on my system, because I have an i5, and it only uses up like 1.5 cores consistently on there, and I don't know why. Like I had no idea.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll know a lot more in the next 5-6 months.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna do something I usually don't do, and that's just because I'm tired of podcasting, frankly.
Yep.
It's all like that, bro.
I want to kind of catch up on myself and do it again next week.
Yeah.
But sheesh, we all need a break.
Yeah, I mean, like, I appreciate you guys coming in here and doing a good job. As you can tell, I'm pretty much out of gas. I've done like 14.
Yeah,
I've done like almost 20 hours of podcast.
Yeah, every time I see Crapgamer, he's like sitting there doing a podcast. I'm like, damn, another podcast, another one.
People are like, crap, you're not even hardly talking. I'm like, you don't understand, man.
I've been watching y'all motherfuckers do so many podcasts in the last 5 days. I haven't even beat the weasel yet.
I might. The only gaming I've done is podcast. Like,
yeah.
You did eat a whole bag of Starburst though.
I did on Sunday.
You guys probably talked about it, and I know you want to end the show, crap, but I'll just end it with this. Someone asked me, I think it was Nath. Nath has asked me, he's like, "What are you guys going to stream for Mooch and Crap on Friday?" And I don't know if you guys are down with it, but we usually have GKB and She-Wolf join us. Everyone's always welcome to join us. Noof, Dealer, Hellhammer. I was thinking in celebration of Microsoft and Nintendo being for the players.
Soccer cars?
I thought we'd do some soccer cars.
I'm down for that, bro.
On Xbox One. Yeah, why not? You know why? Because it just goes to show not only is Sony taking a money grab from everybody with the PS4 Pro, but they also won't let anybody play together. So more reasons. If you're American, UK, go out there and buy an Xbox One tonight. Enjoy yourself.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and do some outros. GKB, what do you got going on, man?
I'm gonna try and do not a lot of anything, bro. I'm just fucking exhausted. I went 20 rounds with Mooch today, so that's fucking exhausting.
That was exhausting. Well, all while at work, I'm at work, and people are like, "Who are you writing?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
But it was a good time, man. I'm just really tired, man. I need a break for a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's always good having you here. She dipped out.
Yeah, she's like, fuck that.
Yeah, she's like F Crapgamer, man. Screw your podcast. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine. Whenever we talk, she didn't have to come in here. I mean, it is what it is. But it's you without a no, you not a no, whatever. You guys can follow her too. So, Hellhammer, what do you got going on?
Not too much. I'll be back on here next week. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at XXHellhammer, Xbox Live, XX_Hellhammer, or on PSN, XX_Hellhammer. But you'll rarely ever see me on because there's nothing to fucking play on it.
Yeah, definitely not for the rest of this year.
Yeah, hey, maybe next year. That's what we've been saying as PS4 owners for years now. Maybe next year. Woo!
Yeah, I guess.
Dealer, what do you got going on, man?
Just uploaded a video today. Uploaded one pretty late last night of a developer saying a lot of what we've been saying today. So what we're saying and what we're claiming is not unwarranted. It never has been. It's pretty based in fact and tech knowledge. So it's pretty cool. Go check that out. Follow me on Twitter at dealer_gaming. Always easy to keep up with me there. Know what channels I'm on and when. And obviously Xbox Live at II_dealer_II. Thank you for watching.
Yep. And Noof, what do you got going on?
Hey, baby, well, don't forget, you can always check me out in my regular date on Tuesday nights with the Console Corner crew, GKB, She-Wolf, Foxfire, and Magic Mike. Thanks for everybody hanging out with us into chat tonight, guys. You guys have been fantastic. It's always great. Man, at one point, I think there was over 1,000 people watching Crap.
Yeah, we had almost 1,200, man. It was pretty damn good show, man. It's awesome. Wrapping it down, too, man. It's really good, man. And I appreciate you having you here, Noof. And Mooch, you invited yourself, man. You're welcome to invite yourself anytime you want, man.
I appreciate it, bro.
You really kind of hopped in there and did a good job, man. It's like I appreciate it because, as you know, man, me and you did, and I even did more because I was doing like helping out Console Corner as well, and I helped out Dealer with the after Xbox show. So there's like literally so much podcasting, but I know Crossfire Friday as well.
Yeah, we got Crossfire Friday. Got a great lineup. Of course, the usual suspects. A bunch are on this panel right now, and then we've got a bunch of people that are joining us. We will be hashing over. I'd like to say we would be talking about on Crossfire what we've been talking about for the past 3 years, but thanks to the very biased gaming media, there'll be plenty of new subjects to talk about on Friday.
Sweet.
Oh, absolutely.
It
We
just
always have.
it never gets old. And then we got M&C mornings on Sunday morning. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah. So absolutely. Yeah. We got M&C mornings. How can I forget, man? That's going to be a hell of a show. We had such a good show last Sunday with that too. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
That Megaton thing is a smash hit.
Oh
I'm getting memes and gifs of Starscream all day.
That was the
I
funny.
love that.
Yeah. Good job to J-Dubs
Yeah,
for putting that
J-Dubs.
out there.
Nice
Hey, you
work.
guys have been great, man. You guys followed all of us. I mean, I know you probably hop around. I see a lot of the same people watching all the stuff with covering E3. I think us combined, like us here in the panel and some of the other ones, obviously like Z and everybody and Colt and all these, did such a good job covering E3 that it made a lot of the mainstream stuff irrelevant, in my opinion. So just remember that, man, and thank the guys that do all this content, because we aren't the ones getting paid a whole shit ton of money to do that. We just do it because we love gaming and things like that. We'll catch you guys next week. I appreciate everyone that's helped this week, everyone that I've podcasted with, that I've been a guest on, or that's guested with me. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys all for watching. We'll catch you guys next week. Rack 'em up.